welcome to Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, episode 204. What do you think?
What do I think? I think I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm lost for words. We're all out of whack. We're recording on a different day than usual. I made us go a day early. I just want to make sure. Please tell me that your 4K arrived on time. Were you able to enjoy the 4K at least?
Yeah, the 4K arrived Thursday night.
Nice.
So it worked out. Yeah, Thursday by 8 p.m. I was like, all right, beautiful.
I got to ask you a question now, again, so that we full context in case you're, again, the thumbnail for this episode didn't tip you off. We're doing an old and new Dawn of the Dead, a Ridge versus the 2004 remake. And that's what we're talking about today. But I brought this up in the past about 4Ks. So not specifically to Dawn of the Dead, but just in general. Have you noticed that with this increased resolution, some of these older movies, as good as the transfers could be or may be, sometimes there's shots that are out of focus, or it's actually, I guess the resolution is so dramatically different that instead of being at the benefit of the film and your viewing pleasure, I notice things being out of focus. That happened in Halloween. It's happened in another one that it's escaping my mind, and I noticed it when rewatching my Dawn of the Dead 4K in a couple of shots.
I think I'm so used to seeing them that way because that's probably the way we've always seen them, that it's not phasing me that I'm watching a 4K and I'm not expecting that. You know what I mean? Because those shots were always there. You know that if they were blurry in 4K, they're going to be blurry in VHS and everything else.
Well, see, that's what I don't think. I don't think in VHS you noticed it as much, and in 4K it accentuates it but it's like a totally out of focus. Like the one shot that comes to mind right out of the gate is when, and again, we'll get into the actual movie later. I'm just using this as an example because of the Dawn of the Dead. But
it's Dawn, everybody knows it.
When the motorcycle gang comes in, or the army, or whatever the fuck it is at the end, and they're taking over the mall or just destroying it. There's a shot where that one guy gets shot off his bike and he gets up and he starts shooting the guys with his machine gun, and they all come in. It's totally out of focus in the 4K.
I didn't notice that. Isn't that something?
Shocked.
You have the same 4K I do? I think you can only get them one. Weren't they just only made in the UK?
Yeah, it's a second sight 4K. I've got both.
Yeah.
Now I've got the Blu-ray set with the book, the books and everything else, because I had to have that one because it's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, right.
And then I got the 4K version of it as well. So the 4K version is the 4-disc version, and then the other one is the 7-disc with the soundtrack included with it, as we talked about in a previous episode. But ultimately, I didn't bring up my region-free player to check the Blu-ray version, nor did I even put my DVD in from the original set that I had that was very much similar to it, but just in DVD format, to compare. But I mean, I've seen this movie so many times, and I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying, that there might be a bit of a soft focus on it, but the 4K's just like magnified that to a degree, which now it looks totally out of focus.
Wow. I guess that will happen. There's nothing you can do. All the pros, there's got to be a few cons, and I guess that's it. What can you do? It's Now the what do you call it? The 4th disc is it's a UK Blu-ray, so I can't play it. It's the special features. Is that the same thing you got?
Yeah. So what I believe happened is they give you the 3 versions. So it's the theatrical cut, which is George Romero's, essentially his director's cut, from everything I've read, his preferred cut of the film. And then there's the Cannes Film Festival cut, and then there's the Argento cut. Those are what is on this 4K set.
It's the same one as last time. It's when they put it out on DVD. It's
exactly, and I've got that as well. And then but then that 4th disc. So yeah, you're right. I think it's the same Blu-ray special features.
I can't watch it.
Blu-ray set, but yeah, I've got to pull out my my
Region free joint.
region free player. My God, we're both stumbling
Oh,
for
we're
words this morning.
gone. It'll take
However,
time.
however, there are special features on the 4K itself. I believe there's some audio commentary and whatnot.
I did
don't know
see
if there's
something.
yeah.
Yeah, I did see something about commentary there afterwards, of course, but not that I had the time. Shoot. You know, I want to talk about 4K. Since you brought this up with 4Ks, here's what I noticed. The new horror movies are not generally going to 4K. We're seeing so much 4K of, you know, boutique labels because it's a niche product and we're going to buy it. Actually, Shout Factory's kind of, and I don't know, I guess it's unfair.
Shout Factory's pissing me off now.
See, it's unfair for me to say. Well, I was about to say, in a manner of speaking, piss me off, but it's more like, yeah, aggravate me because they're just taking all their old Blu-ray titles and they're putting them in 4K and they're making them like $40 or $30, whatever it is.
Fuck it.
But
and
I can't say though, because how good are they?
Is The Burning going to look any better in 4K? This movie looks grainy as shit as is. I think we've got the best version of it. Sometimes Blu-ray is better. Sometimes dead is better. Sometimes Blu-ray is better. And I'm going to say it here. Not all 4Ks are equal. You'll get extended grain. It'll accentuate the grain. I did hear a fantastic review. A guy on YouTube comparing the Second Sight Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I just got. And it's a beautiful set. It like looks as good, if not better, than the Arrow sets that they've done with those Argento films. This one it's so beautiful. I love it. No, you got the other one, I believe, because you got the Steelbook one that came out, the 4K Steelbook one. I didn't go for that one. I went for the other. And funny, I was talking with Chris, aka Scott, again. This fucking guy comes up on the show more than anybody. He's on the show more than Brandon. Right. He talked about getting that 4K one that I believe you got. I'm putting words in your mouth. I believe that's the one you got. Then they said they released a regular version, which is just a close-up of Sally Harvest's eye, like Harvest's eye in red. And it's the slip cover on it. And it's just a standard 4K, which that's a pretty cool looking cover. And then he ended up buying, he said he didn't want it, but then he saw how cool it looked. He went and bought that Second Sight one because he said it is his second favorite horror film, second favorite movie next to Halloween. So he triple dipped.
I wanted to, but the news came out like a month after I got mine. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I read all this great stuff and I was like, oh man, they said the transfer is even better than the one, everything else, and it's definitive. And I'm like, son of a gun. But it was just so much money compared to what, and I just bought the other one.
Well, the transfer, the funny thing is he was comparing the transfer to the old Second Sight Blu-ray. And he said it was substantial. He thought it was going to accentuate, as we were just talking about, the grain and everything that you don't necessarily want accentuated or magnified, as I said earlier. And he said it's the best transfer that he's seen of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
See what I'm saying, man?
So I was like, well, this is fantastic. Like I literally got it. I unboxed it for myself. I didn't make a video of it. I always, every time I open this up, I go, shit, I should have just filmed myself opening this fucking thing up and get like 1,000 views for fucking opening up fucking mail.
We should do it. I should start a gimmick when I open up everything.
But I gotta make it.
What can you do differently than someone else that's opening it? That's the ticket. That's what's gonna make people want to watch your video.
I'll hit my mic a bunch of times while
you can smash it.
This cost me 60 bucks. Ah, bam. Fuck you, 4K. But I just 4K. Saw the announcement for The Burning 4K. I don't need the 4K. What I gotta see either. More Day for Night, the worst Day for Night ever put the film is gonna be accentuated, magnified, 4K style. I'm gonna say magnified every time I talk about 4K and everything.
Magnified, huh?
But I agree, like there's certain ones I can't, like Dawn of the Dead, it was a must. The Thing was a must, and it wasn't even that expensive. And you know that probably Shout Factory is gonna release their version of The Thing as well. That's what they're doing. It's like they're giving a 2 to 3 year window or longer in some cases, and then re-releasing the old ones. And
some are worth it. It's
Yeah.
smart.
Exactly. I'll bite
It's
some of
just
them I
it.
didn't buy. Like I didn't buy Psycho 2 and 3. And whether I need them on 4K or not, I'm like, well, I haven't bought them yet. So do I just wait because it's inevitable that they're going to be released in 4K? So do I
Right.
just bite the bullet and wait? Now, what they're not doing though is not necessarily doing the 4K and Blu-ray at all. It seems like sometimes the new one is just 4K. So they know they're and that even pisses me off more because the price is double usually.
Let me ask you, do you have Psycho, the original, on 4K?
I
Because
do.
I don't know if I do.
I have Psycho. So I
I
think I
do
brought it up on
not.
the show.
Okay.
I got the collection. So I asked for them individually because I prefer them individually. But what am I going to say? My wife got it for me for Christmas last Christmas. That's
A
this past
4K
one.
collection?
Yeah, it was the Alfred Hitchcock. There's two of them
Oh.
now, but this one had Psycho,
Hitchcock.
Vertigo,
Okay.
Rear Window, and The Birds, 4K. And I think I actually did a very quick, in my traditional Christian style, a very quick review, if you will, of that. And I noticed some soft images in some of those scenes as well. When I say that, I'm not talking about the whole movie looks like that. I'm talking about specific shots or scenes will be like that. And typically it's shots. It's not nothing more than here or there, which I don't ever know if it's a transfer issue or if it's just that extra resolution accentuating the softness of the image. I'm assuming it's that.
Well, it is Psycho after all, but do you consider the 4K, is it worth the purchase?
I don't think it's that expensive. I don't think
really?
that one I think you can find sometimes between like $24.99, maybe $19.99 range.
Keep my eyes on it.
I believe, like, again, it will fluctuate like everything. But yeah, I've got that short list, and that list keeps growing. I keep finding new ones to try to add to it. And I'm like, no, I gotta stop at some point because it can be never ending. And then we're again talked about this last show, is like you just end up with all this shit. Now it's shit that we like. So I hate using the term shit, but if you want to pick up and go, like that's a lot of stuff to like have to worry about and whatever. So
Boy, yeah.
at some point you just have to, I'm like, what do I want? But there's so many, they're doing every movie that you can think of pretty much in these great transfers. But I am trying to limit it to movies that obviously, why would you buy something that doesn't mean anything to you? But there are people out there that just buy everything. Oh,
The
day one buyer, whatever,
right?
they'll buy whatever's
Yeah.
out there. I don't need to be that. Like even for instance, I
I'm
didn't
not
buy
a flying buyer guy.
the Indiana Jones quadrilogy or whatever the fuck it's called, because I don't care to have Crystal Skull or whatever. I watched the movie twice or whatever. But I don't even remember watching it all the way through the second time. It's okay, has its moments, but it just
never fucked with it.
Yeah, but those first three. So I've got the steel books of the first two right now because I think Last Crusade comes out in June or July, if I'm not mistaken. So I've got Raiders and Temple of Doom, and like I want to get the Back to the Future movies because I like those, and that I know that one's out.
See, I do too. I'm just not sure. I need those type of movies on 4K, and that's what I balance. I'm looking for like, theatrical experience. Like here's like The Doors. I'll get on 4K. Now I happen to love the movie The Doors, which is fine. Natural Born Killers, that goes without saying. But I mean, even though I love Caddyshack and I love Back to the Future, and I just don't. When I think about 4K, those aren't the movies I think I need to have the pristine look on. Maybe like a Forrest Gump or something.
Caddyshack, I get. Back to the Future, I think would deserve it, but I don't know if I need the trilogy in 4K. That's where I was going with it. I want that first one, and although I really enjoy the second and third, I love the second. Actually, I don't think I need to get that. I don't need to buy the trilogy. I'll just get, if they do the first one individual, great. I've got the other ones on DVD, or I'll go grab a Blu-ray for way cheaper or used or something like that. Like
it's just like with Rocky. I got all the Rockies.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to bring that up too.
And I watch them all. I just went through them all like freaking a month or two ago again. And I don't know if I need the 4Ks. I love the movies. It's just weird, just because of
If
the
you-
money that you're putting up, and you already got
That's
them in a
it.
pretty solid definition.
And
That's
that's
what
the
it
thing.
is.
You've got them in high definition and you've already spent.
Yeah.
That's why the burning, I'm like, fuck it. I've already spent money on this. I'm not spending
Yeah.
40 more bucks to get and they know they've got people, because there's some people that just can't say no. Because there is a part of me back here in this region of my brain that's like, you got to get it. You know, you need it. And I'm like, I don't need it, but that's what and we all have that. Like, it's like boom, boom, boom. And you're like, fuck it. I'm not getting it. God
There's
damn
certain
it.
movies like that. Yeah, man, exactly. There's certain
What about
ones
Dazed
you
and
want.
Confused?
Like,
Dazed and Confused, you wouldn't think about it, but Criterion
no,
Edition.
but I want the blue. The Criterion blue is so expensive all the time. I still don't have it.
Well, they get the 4K, because what I've noticed about the Criterion ones is that's the thing about Criterion. They're expensive in blue and in 4K, but the prices are relatively the same. So like Blowout is a perfect example. I think it's like 50 plus bucks for the Blu-ray, 50 plus bucks for the 4K. I've got the Blu-ray, which is a 4K scan, but because it's one of my favorite films and because it's De Palma and whatever, I'm like, damn it. Do I want it? That's one of those boom, 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 in the back of my head. I'm like, is it going to be that much different? But
there's some that I want to have, like The Exorcist. I'm clamoring for it. Rosemary's Baby be a great one on 4K.
Yeah.
There's certain titles I think about, and now Friday the 13th is Friday the 13th, but I'm gonna get that. But the thing is, too many other slashers and stuff besides Halloween and whatnot. I don't need to go that route. You know what I mean? There's some that are very, very special to me, and I want to get them. But you got to draw the line. But here's the thing. Something
like
else about
Aerosmith.
4K. It's right. To come into Buffalo, probably charging freaking your firstborn to go see him, but so they're not getting mine.
Okay.
But even though Black Crows are opening up for it, which I didn't
Fish
know,
is opening up for them, I thought.
that Chris Robinson is back in the Black Crows. No way.
Yeah.
Chris Robinson's back in the
They
Black
have to change their
Crows.
name though. It's now, that name's now offensive. So they're just the Crows. Just like they're the Chicks, or is it
The
Dixie?
Crows of Color.
What did they have to pick that was less offensive? It's not Dixie Chicks anymore. I think it's the Chicks.
It was the Chicks, yeah.
Now the Crows.
The Crows. The Crows of Color.
Yeah.
That's what they should be called. So now, because Chris Robinson on his own, the stuff he's put out the last like 10 years, the Chris Robinson Brotherhood, CRB, is fucking great. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's like a cross between late Grateful Dead and Crows. Real good guitar and stuff. It's really cool. But anyway,
Bother you back in the day, and I'm all over the place. Did it bother you? Because for some reason, this seems like it would be a Dave Z-ism, because it was a me-ism, and sometimes we share similar things. As much as I make fun of you not wanting to see Fright Night because you thought the title was stupid, did it bother you that there was the Black Crows and the Counting Crows?
Yeah, I don't like when there's too many things.
I know. Yeah. I don't know why, but it bothered me back in the day.
One's a ripoff of the other, you know?
I don't even know. But the Counting Crows, do you remember them? They I feel like they were like a 2-hit band.
They were. They had fucking Mr. Jones
Omaha,
was their big one.
And Mr. Jones, that was it, right?
Yeah. And then this other one, which I couldn't stand because it sounds like this. Round here. That one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The way he would say round here always bothered me. Round here.
My buddy was a huge Black Crowes fan, which probably made me
I love the Crows.
A bigger fan, because I owned Amorica, right? That's one of their
right on.
Yeah, that's the one I had, and I think their one before that or right after. I only had
the Southern Harmony, the second album, the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion is fucking perfect. It's great.
He stuck with them, man. He's like you. Like he had all of them, and even their lesser works down the road were still worth checking out. Yeah.
Yeah, By Your Side was the last one they made, unless they're back together now doing something. But believe it or not, I enjoy the Brotherhood so much but then again, the guitarist did die. So, and that's a big part of it, but it's real jammy, real different. And his voice is so good. But anyway, I don't want to forget the point I was trying to make of 4K.
Yeah. That I keep calling.
This is what I noticed. No, it's good. As long as I can remember to go back, we can do this, you know? So, okay. I noticed the other day that like Pearl's not on 4K, and you start thinking about it, and you're like, how come the new movies aren't coming to 4K? What about, like, movies from last year, Barbarian, or what have you? Just, you know, how come these are not coming to 4K? What does that
It is
tell us
weird.
about the media and about the future of it? That to me seems a little
But why are they going to
revealing.
Blu-ray? Why? I guess because Blu-ray's still probably more
I'll
DVD and
tell you
Blu-ray
why.
still has more of a mass market. We know that Blu-ray or DVD really, we all talk about 4K being like this new thing, but I think DVD is real. Like, I mean, I'm not saying anything that other people are probably like, yeah, Chris, of course, that's of course what happened. But DVD took over video, and I think that's what is the more mainstream, which is why when you throw out those stats, however many shows
Yeah,
ago,
last
DVD
year.
was
Yeah.
still like shockingly astronomically ahead of everything else because a lot of people, you could buy a player for dirt cheap. You could have gotten a player for like $20 at one point, I think, and you could pop it in and they're readily available and they're cheap. So I think that's why we're still getting new releases on DVD and in some cases I think Blu-ray. But yeah, it is weird that they're not getting that
I
4K
think I know
treatment.
why. I think I know why, because people aren't sold on it. They don't know any better, and you have to buy a player to play 4Ks.
Yeah.
That's why.
But
They don't think
not,
that enough of the households have a 4K player in them to
or they don't.
justify
Yeah.
printing a bunch of 4Ks. And that is why I'm a little concerned about it. And I do, it's almost like 4K might end up becoming freaking what Laserdisc was. It was a niche audience. People really wanted to have the best picture and everything else. They had to get a separate player for it. It looked different. You know what I mean? And not everybody
Yeah.
had them. Only serious movie people had laser discs. So now what happens? I think this is going to happen with 4K.
Yeah, but
People do not want to go
the
buy
difference with
players.
4K is that at least the PlayStation 5 has it built into it
Correct.
and does the Xbox. So from that standpoint, you've got two major gaming systems like with the ability to play them. And I don't even have the Xbox Series X. I've got the Xbox One S, and that was 4K compatible. Like I used that until I got my PlayStation 5.
Check
And I
this
made
out.
sure that I got the PlayStation 5 with the disc one because I wanted to make sure that I just assumed it would have been a great 4K player. Now, I don't actually know how it rates as a 4K player, but I've had absolutely no problems with it because I was worried that maybe that had something to do with that soft focus, that maybe the player wasn't fast enough. But I'm like, no, it's just dedicated scenes, shots, I should say again. But you're going to say, check this out.
I don't know. Something about the 4K.
Well, I'm talking about the PlayStation and Xbox being the players.
PlayStation. Yeah. Okay, that's what it was. So, and I got the disc one. I know that much. And I've never used it. I just got mine downstairs, my 4K player. But the 4K, the PlayStation. Okay, yeah, check this out. The generation, for the most part, that plays the most video games, the Xboxes and the PlayStations, right? It's basically a younger generation. For the most part. I know everybody games, but still, you're more prone to have teens and 20-somethings play than 30 and 40s. It's just the way it is. So here's the thing. The people that are in that generation of Xboxing and freaking PlayStationing, and they're all heavy into games, are also the same generation that is all about stream. You know what I'm saying?
For the most part, you're right. Exactly.
Physical media generation. So it's almost like you're marketing it to the wrong people. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you guys are this age group and everything else. Here's discs. But people are like, they don't know what discs are. I mean, they know what they are. They're just so conditioned now with streaming services, and there's a new one's coming up every day now. I mean, it's really out of hand.
And ultimately, well, that's it. They've got, and they're free because they have advertisements now. It's essentially becoming cable TV, but with no subscription, which is why internet prices have jacked up significantly. Like my dad wouldn't have paid more than $30. Like $30 was, he's like, oh, that's a lot for internet. Now they know that they're not, no one's buying their cable packages. So the internet is astronomical. Like you can get dirt cheap ones if you just want to do a little bit here and there. But if you want to actually live on the internet, and which most people do nowadays, whether it be for streaming or for just being connected, whatever it may be, that these packages are way more expensive. I don't know how it works in the States, but you can get up to, 70 to 100 and change very easily for a monthly internet package now. Because they know
Yeah,
that no
sure,
one's buying
man.
their cable
Yes.
systems. Yeah.
It's crazy. And now everybody's dependent on it. And here's the worst part about streaming is you never own it. Yes, we know this. But the thing is, on top of that, sometimes the content isn't available in your region. And
Yeah.
that's the shit right there that you can't get around it. You could literally have something there. Someone could have it in. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just going to throw it out
No,
there.
we've
Maybe
talked
what
about
you
this.
watch in
Yeah.
California, but I'm saying that's another country. But
Oh,
what a guy gets to
regionally
watch
even.
in
Yeah.
California, can I always watch here, or are there some things that are regionally locked? Because you
See,
don't know.
I didn't think so, but yeah, maybe.
Because you
But
do see it.
he also brings up the other fact of, we're talking about way back when. I get streaming and not owning it, but if you buy a digital copy, that is yours. Now, I haven't read the fine print to say that they have the right to
Unless they
delete
take it off. They do.
but no, but you own it, so you've got access to it all the time.
No, if it becomes a rights issue in your area, then you lose it. It doesn't matter that you paid for it. Like, let's say I'm buying a movie. I buy the Dead Zone today. And then one day, 10, 12 years down the road, there's something with rights in that because you have it on Prime or something. You know what I mean? Like you rent it there and you go, it'll be gone. It will not be available to you. If it's
But
illegal in your area,
I'm talking about, like, you get the digital codes, and you can download it, but you also could go to you can also go to Amazon, or you can go to Apple and actually download the actual title. I think that's where I was starting to go that route, a little bit more so with my favorites, but then you're realizing that they weren't putting all the special features on and whatever. And now again, they're going back and forth, and now they're doing some exclusive just for that. It's interesting. Like, I read an article saying that 4K was possibly going to be the vinyl of our generation. So it is kind of like what you're saying, where it's going to be more of a niche thing, which is why the prices are so expensive, or why they can justify to put the prices so high.
Will they continue to manufacture 4K? Like, will they continue to manufacture the players? If they're not making the players anymore because they're not selling enough, then it becomes Laserdisc, and that's the scary part.
Well, that's very true. There are going to be fewer and fewer, depending on the numbers, manufacturers making them. The saving grace would be that it's built into your PlayStation 5 and Xbox, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So you still have those, but it'll be no different than
5 years from now, they could just stop making the disc thing and say, well, PS5 is all digital.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't be too surprising. Just like now, even with discs in the computer, you have to search one. You know what I mean? Like, I have one, this old one that I still have, but I mean, next time I'll be doing the same thing. I want to have a disc. I want to have the option,
but I've got, this is what I'm getting at. I've got most of the movies that I'd actually want. Now, when it comes to new ones, the argument is there, but like from a classical standpoint, there's now very few. Like I said, that list is fairly short. And I could always add more, as we've said. I could always put like Dazed and Confused. I could put like whatever it may be that I love the movie, but do I really need to get it on 4K where I can get it for half the price or less on Blu-ray? And we know it's accessible, or buy it digitally, whatever it may be. Now, I want to support physical now, as I got back into it a few years ago, but I'm not. I've got what I really need. If they stopped producing tomorrow, I'd be happy with the collection that I've got and the fact that I've got them in physical format.
And there's more stuff out there that I still want.
Maybe a handful. There's like a handful that I said are on that short list.
Yeah, I mean, some I don't even have on blue. So if that's the case, you know what I mean? Some, I honestly, if they did stop making them, it would suck, but I would get everything I could then. Then I'd be more I would be more prone to do some blind buys and things like that on some flicks. You know what I mean? Just to like, okay, let's try this. It's kind of regarded, and I haven't seen it before. I'll buy it. Where now I don't do that a lot. So sometimes I do if there's a sale, a Criterion sale, Vinegar sale, whatever it is. If there's a big sale, Arrow, that's the only time I'm buying anymore for the most part. I mean, some things I just can't help. As soon as they drop, I'm gonna. But it's really, few and far between. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't
I
know
think
what's
I've
gonna
even
happen with
talked about
4K.
my short list on like it literally is a list, and sometimes I delete it because I'm like, why the fuck do I have a list of the ones? I'll just buy what I want to buy when I want to buy it. Kind of like my argument of like, what do you watch at Halloween? I watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it. If I've said that on the show before, I try not to be handcuffed to a certain idea. Although I do tend to watch certain movies seasonally, but most of the time it's the Halloween franchise at around October, of course. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't think if there's anything I'm like, I think it's The Exorcist, The Shining, and the Halloween series. That's what I'll watch in October.
Yeah, right on. There you
Become like
go.
annual. But otherwise, every other movie I could just watch whenever.
And Trick or Treat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trick or Treat gets watched. That does the Halloween franchise for sure. Not the franchise. Either way, that's October though. I mean, who knows, dude? I haven't watched. Oh, I gotta tell you what happened. Oh my gosh! Wow.
What happened?
For Francesca's birthday. Oh, you're not gonna believe this story. This is crazy.
Did you get Best Buy to install a TV in our room?
That whole thing. I know. See again with her birthday. Holy cow! So we're gonna take her to New York City to see the Statue of Liberty, right? She's always wanted to go. We have the ability to go because Irene's a flight attendant, so we hop on and just pay the taxes. So we decided we were going to take her. So we had this big thing on last Friday was her birthday, and we gave her the present, and it was all clues. The first thing was an apple, and then something else, and then a Liberty Bell, not Liberty Bell, a Statue of Liberty bell that Irene had. Where am I coming up with that? A Liberty Bell. Okay. They got to make a Liberty Bell though.
I'm sure they do.
How could they not? Do they call it that? A Liberty Bell. Anyway, so we surprised her. She's so happy. Anyway, so we have to get out early the next morning, and then we're going to come home in the night. I think it was like a 10 o'clock flight or something. The last flight that leaves JFK. So we go there in the morning, 9 a.m. Now it's going to rain all day, and we know this. So I'll try to make this as short as possible. We got rained on the whole time with ponchos and everything. I had to buy an umbrella from a guy from the street, but we got so wet. They got especially wet that their socks, they couldn't even wear them at a point. And we had like half an hour to go before we were going to take the ferry over to freaking the statue.
Ellis Island or whatever the hell it's called.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things. You go see the statue and then you see Ellis Island. Correct. That's a whole other. That's the package we bought. We bought the package to go see Ellis Island and the statue and the ferry that takes you there, whatever. So it was so bad that we had to try to get out of the rain. And we were going in restaurants and stuff just to freaking try to kill time. So the rain was coming down real bad, and it did not let up from the time we got there to the time we left. So nonstop downpour, right? But still having fun and making the most of it. They're getting soaked. They did not wear the right freaking type of shoes to be in the rain with, I'll tell you that. But so they're getting soaked. Their socks are getting soaked, everything. Now we go to we get on the ferry. We're heading over to the statue, or maybe we're heading back. Either way, Irene starts getting texts from friends of hers in the industry, the airline, and saying, you better get home as soon as possible. And they're canceling all the flights that are leaving JFK because there's a warnings of lightning. So now we're like, oh shit, now what are we gonna do? We can't get out. We're stuck here in New York City, right? So now we're bouncing around. We're trying to figure this. Sure enough, they all eventually get canceled. Then she looks at LaGuardia, the other one there, canceled. So now she looks at Newark, and she looks it up, and she sees that there's a flight from United that's leaving at the end of the night. Well, my cousin just so happens to be a flight attendant for United. So she got a hold of him, and he's able to look at something, he's as an insider for United, and she knows about these things. So they go, yeah, there's still 18 spots. You could hop on. It's the last flight at 10 o'clock at LaGuardia. So, okay, now we find this out. But in order to get there,
LaGuardia or Newark or whatever.
Newark.
Yeah.
Newark. Sorry.
Yeah. Is that in Jersey?
So, yeah, Jersey.
Yeah.
So,
I think
we're going back.
I've been in the area. Okay.
Right. So we do our thing. We see the statue. We can't see Ellis Island because time is of the essence. We don't want to, even though it's a 10 o'clock flight, we want to get back and make sure we get to the airport on time and everything else. Then we take the ferry back to New York. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why should we take an Uber from freaking here at the statue to Newark when there is a ferry that drops you off at Jersey? Because it's one of the things there. So then we asked if we could stay on the ferry. So anyway, we end up taking 3 ferries in a row at the end of the day because it's going to be quicker and cheaper than taking the Uber to the airport. So sure enough, we take the ferry, then we take an Uber to the airport, but it's a shorter ride, of course. So now we're in there and we're trying to figure out, we haven't eaten, we've been up for a day, we're wet. The girls are so wet. The 3 of us had to go into a bathroom. They happen to have like a intergender bathroom or something like that. So we went in.
Intergender.
Something. I forgot what it said. All genders or whatever it was. It was something. But we took advantage of it. So we go in there. They're in such bad shape. I had to buy socks in the freaking Newark airport. And we had to go in there. We're in there for 45 minutes with the blow dryer and with all the freaking paper towels, taking turns. They're passing their shoe. We're patting it down. We're doing this. We're taking the blow dryer in it and then doing it again.
10 people wanted to take a shit of a lifetime and they're stuck outside.
These girls were soaked. Their socks were soaked. I had to buy them socks. Dude, it was crazy.
You ever take an airport shit? It's like the worst
we
shit.
did.
Yeah.
Somebody was knocking too. A couple of times we thought we heard somebody knocking. Then we'd stop. But I was like, we can't be 100% sure because the blower was always blowing to freaking pry them off. So anyway. And it was mayhem.
It can never be a quiet shit at the airport. It's like you sit down, it's like fucking Taco Bell hell. It's like your whole, it's like you're shitting out your spine. Everything, there's all this noise and everything. It's the worst experience. And everybody, you're like, you don't want to make any noise. Anyway, sorry. I'm derailing you.
Funny.
Wet socks.
Yeah, wet socks. Oh, that whole freaking scene. So I had to go out and buy socks for him in the airport, bring them back, get those. And so now we finally we're getting closer and closer. It's getting on 10 o'clock. We're supposed to be home at 11:30, right? We're supposed to leave at 10ish and then we're supposed to be home at 11:30. Now somebody's watching our dog. Our neighbor's watching the dog, Chicken Little, right? So she's watching the dog and doing it, and she's going to take her for a walk and then bring her home. Because we're supposed to, like I said, be home at 11:30. So now we go to leave. We finally get in and we're all separated. We're all sitting in a different place on the plane, but what are you going to do? It's the best you can do, So, but we do get in. Now it's already been delayed 40 minutes, the flight. So now it's late. We get in. Okay, we're grateful. Now we're sitting there for another 10 minutes getting ready. The lights go off on the plane. Literally, when the lights go off and it's time to take off, the lights go off on the plane. It creeps, starts to do a slow ascent on wheels, and I kid you not, 20 to 30 seconds into the lights going off, they fucking went back on. They're like, well, there's 12 more people that were able to fit in that have canceled flights and this, so now we got to wait to board them. So then, and again, I can't complain because that was also a free ride too. I'm grateful these people can get out. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, but you still know it's a pain in the ass. So now you got to sit there. And it takes half an hour and they all get in. Now, okay, let's go. Now it's already freaking, I don't even know.
Usually when they shut that door, that's it. They don't think I've never heard of a plane say, you know what? We got a few more. It's more like, fuck you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was crazy. And I think I exaggerated.
Yeah.
The wheels didn't go, but they turned it on and everything else, and the lights went off, and we couldn't have moved because I don't think they backed the plane up because they could only get in one way. But we're just about to go, and it's takeoff time.
Yeah.
So then they come in. Now they sit down, and here we go. Now all of a sudden they tell us we're sitting there for freaking 20 minutes. No one knows why. Finally, the pilot comes on and says, there's some type of problem with the coordinates, this and this, and we can't take off. We can't be clear for takeoff. Now we have to wait. Now, eventually we leave. It's only supposed to be a 45-minute flight, 45 an hour, Now we leave. By the time we get home, it's freaking 2 a.m.
Holy shit.
Yeah, now we're exhausted. We got up at like 4 and 5 a.m. the day before. So we've been up almost a day going through rain, boats, everything. Freaking mayhem, the airport. Oh, dude, exhausted. Walking 160 steps for the Statue of Liberty. All that stuff, dude. You're dead. You're dead.
Yeah. Did you get up to the torch?
I
we didn't flung myself right off.
We decided against it.
You can go?
We went,
can you still go up
not
to
the torch? I think you go in the crown.
The crown. That's it. Yeah.
The head.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it was a lot smaller than I anticipated. It's only about the size of like 2 houses. Yeah. Did you know this? That it's when I first saw it, I thought it was cardboard.
So I've been there. I've been on the thing, but we never went up because it was too many people. I don't like people.
Weren't you shocked though?
Well, I mean, I was looking at it from like how you looked at it. Like I was like down there, but I didn't go in to get any kind of like I mean, it seemed fine to me. I didn't think it was that large.
Really?
You're talking about the Statue of Liberty itself?
I thought it was like the biggest statue in the world or something. The impression I've always had about the Statue of Liberty is that it's huge. That's why it's a big deal.
I think the one in Vegas is bigger. I'm joking.
It might be. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe how small this. It was like looking up at a Ferris wheel. Yeah. Like it was tall and stuff, but I was thinking it was going to be like this tremendous thing. Like I go, that's like taking our house and putting another house.
The French are not that great at architecture. Like, I mean, come on.
Like in my mind, I can't believe it. I can't believe how big I was picturing. I thought it might have been the biggest statue in the world going into it. I have no idea. What do I know about statues? What do I care about statues?
No, what do I know? And what do I care about statues? Holy shit. It's only a part of your history, but fuck it.
A statue. Who knows? So now the story gets good. So we come into the house, it's 2 a.m. Okay. Take a few steps. Frankie turns and looks at me and she says, "Do you smell gas?"
Oh, fuck, no.
I said, "No." And then start looking around. I smell gas. Irene goes to the freaking side door. Now listen to this. We have this, those fireplaces, those gas fireplaces that people have in their houses. You turn them on and there's a pile of light and it's, heats up. So we have one of those gas ones. Never use it. And maybe like less than a year after we were here, Ginny got down in the bottom of the thing somehow and knocked it off. So now it doesn't light anymore. But I never used it. I kept saying, I got to go down there and see it. What's blocking it? So the pilot is no longer lit. So what you do is you press this switch on my wall and it just goes in trying to ignite. You know how that stuff does that, like a gas heater and a stove? Okay. So if you turn that thing on, it just hums and it goes tick, 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 and that's all it's going to do. It's trying to ignite. There's no pilot. Okay. So now one side of our sliding glass door has that, and the other one is for the light on the back deck. So let the good dog go potty. So she comes here, and I knew that's what happened.
Little chicken, little.
Yeah, little chicken, little came over here and turned on the freaking thing. No lights went on, and this is how did she not notice that it was going tick, tick, tick? That loud ass noise?
Because she wanted to kill you all.
It was 10. So now I'm like, holy shit. I go, this has been going all this time. I tell my wife, I go, she said she was probably here at like 10:30 or something. It's 2 a.m. The gas has been going in this house all this time.
Holy shit.
So I'm like, oh my God, the freaking, the pets might die first and foremost. So now I open everything up, we shut the thing down. I'll open it to air it out. Now I'm watching the animals. And now Irene's talking to her. She goes, what time were you here? We need to know. Oh my God. So now watching the animals, making sure no one's getting sick or this or showing. I'm on the internet like crazy on my phone, trying to look at every sign and what's going on. So now we air out the house, right? But we can only open the one door so much because the cats will run out on the back, and there's no screen there now. So we open it up a bit. We open this. We open this. The place is cold. Okay, here we are. We're getting ready to trying to figure everything out. All of a sudden, Oreo somehow managed to go over there and push the sliding glass door even more. And he always wants to go outside in the backyard. So Oreo is gone. It's freaking 2, 3 in the morning. All right.
Yep. That's when
Where
you just
the
say,
hell now?
You just lock it, turn off the lights, and go to sleep.
Yeah, right.
Start afresh a new day.
Except we have a deaf cat. So if Lucky got out, it's pitch black in the middle of the night. We're not going to get this cat. We can't call him. What are we going to do?
Yeah,
Who's out there?
true.
So now we have to account for 4 cats. Bailey's in the house, the dog. She's fine, you know. No one's showing any signs. So, okay. So now I'm running around the house like mad. I tell them, I go, you guys go outside, take this flashlight and this phone. You go in the backyard. They got Oreo right away. I go, look for the other cats. I'll look inside the house. So I look around. I find everybody but Lucky. Oh, man, where the hell's Lucky? So now I'm really freaking out. I'm running up here. I'm running up there. I go into the one spare room. I'm looking around, nothing. And all of a sudden I hear a little cat noise, a little tiny meow. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I hear what I thought I heard? I look. Lucky went into the spare room and up into the bed there. There's something that I guess he ripped something under the mattress and he's hanging from the bed, sitting there. I was like,
cat does.
Son of a bitch. But he happened to catch me walking in, but I thought the cat went outside. I was like, it was mayhem. So now we come back in the house and I'm like, well, I go, we can't go to sleep, you know. There's no signs or smell for carbon monoxide. Now, here's the crazy part. We have one of those things. The detector for carbon monoxide and gas. Okay. Literally 3 days before, ours broke. So I had to take it out of the wall and the batteries weren't working. And I looked and it said that it was manufactured over 10 years ago. I go, you got to get a new one every 10 years. So I said, I'm going to take this out and order a new one on eBay. So it just so happens the one time I don't have a carbon monoxide and gas detector plugged in is when I would have needed it.
Exactly.
So
isn't that crazy?
Dude, insane.
At any point in time, did you decide to light a cigarette and throw it in and just see if like gasoline that doesn't do anything? Like, oh wait, let's see if my house blows up.
Well, I know what would have happened. I was freaking dying of I'm telling I go, listen, if there's carbon monoxide, the 3 of us will go to sleep and won't wake up. We'll die not even knowing that it happened. This is
carbon monoxide for sure, because you don't even smell carbon dioxide, right? That you just assume you do because people think it's like exhaust, or that's what I picture again in my crazy head. But no, it's odorless and silent killer.
I'm like, here we got to stay up. We got to make sure the cats are okay. The animals, they're not showing signs. They'd be the first to show signs, you know, especially since they were in it by themselves for freaking 2-3 hours. Luckily, nothing happened. So now here we are. And I'm like, okay, well, we got to stay up. What can we do? Because if you go to sleep, we got to make sure we got to give it at least 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to make sure that everybody's okay.
Shit.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, it's 2 a.m. Now we got to watch a movie. So Frankie's freaking drinking coffee. She's never had coffee before. She's drinking a coffee. Irene, I said, I can make it till
now she's addicted.
4:30. Luckily not. But there we are, stayed up all this time for this. And here's the fucked up part. Check this out. We have a gas stove. So the pilot light's on in the stove, which is in the kitchen, which is freaking right next to the living room where the thing is. Yeah, it's right there. So if we would not have gotten that last flight out in New York and had to spend the night in New York City,
your house
we would have come home to either no house or a house with dead animals in it. Yeah, the house could have blown up and started the houses on both sides of my house to freaking catch fire.
Jesus Christ, that is it is crazy. I don't think about that. That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. It was fucking mayhem. Yeah, dude. We all could have been dead.
And all by mistake,
we could have lost the house.
Blame Chicken Little, even though you probably want to punch her in the face, but it's not her. Like, I mean, who knew? But you're right. How do you not hear a
How did, dude? It's a
again,
loud click.
you're also helping someone else. Maybe she was
I
tired. She's
know.
like, let this fucking dog out like you do. And then just whatever, went home, didn't even think about it. But
Yeah.
shit.
And then Irene texted her and asked her, and she, she was all bugging out. She felt terrible. I wasn't, but I needed to know what time she used it.
Did you try to kill her animals? Yeah.
Imagine that.
Did you turn on the gas on purpose, chicken?
She's always careful and bugged out about everything, and she isn't even thinking about that.
That's
So yeah, we could have
crazy.
blown everything else up. Our house, the animals could have died at the very least. Imagine that, come
Oh.
home, fucking all the pets are dead. I mean,
That would have
you
been
don't want to come home to
horrible.
it to a no house either. Imagine that, come home, fucking house is on fire. Oh my God.
Well, yeah,
So-
everything, animals, house, everything.
That was that
I
story.
mean, the house, like only because of the inconvenience. That's a massive inconvenience. It's not like losing your driver's license, which sucks and is an inconvenience. This is like, where the fuck are we going to live?
Right, dude.
When this gets settled? And obviously, the animals are the most devastating part because the house can be replaced over time. It's just a major fucking inconvenience. Plus memories. Plus, we're talking about all that shit. Then would you really care? I have all these fucking 4Ks in the basement. When it went up in a fucking a ball of flame, that's where we're going with it. At the end of the day, is like we collect all this shit, and if something like that happens, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Or what?
Ugh,
Digital.
what a
I'm going
thought.
back to digital.
For what he said.
Well, I mean,
Just in
I
case
had
of
that
a
stupid,
fire.
not nearly as serious, but when we had the piss and rain, you're talking about piss and rain, and I talked about it on the show. I come down, I'm in the basement going, what the fuck is this? I put my hand, no one's taking a shower. I hear all this running. I put my hand out, and I'm right beside my computer where we record. Usually I'm upstairs right now. Because again, it's another boys' weekend. The girls are at a dance competition again.
Wow.
So Christian and I are here where he goes to soccer
Nice.
after we record, and we'll figure out what's going on, whether he's having a sleepover tonight or whether or not we go see a movie. That's what we'll have to decide. But anyway, I put my hand out and there's water fucking dancing off my hand. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? It was hitting through the way our house is. My daughter's room ends and the family room jets out another 6 feet, 8 feet, whatever it may be. And must have been somewhere that seam there. Water was getting in, hitting our drywall in our family room, which now I have a big stain on, and running down there to wherever it could find a hole, which was through the seams of the house, the walls, and going right down to the basement and shoot it out into our unfinished basement. 2 feet from my computer, no exaggeration, 5 feet from all that display of Friday the 13th shit and whatever, which means nothing. I'm just saying though,
still
that all that stuff could have been ruined, which then it means nothing. It's frivolous shit in the sense, but I'm saying it also costs money. So I would have been like, how do you know what I mean? Like the insurance claim, whatever it may be. But some of that stuff, I'm not going to start replacing it again. It's ridiculous. Going insane.
Yeah.
But it was just a freak thing. It shouldn't have happened. Just really heavy rain. And
when did this
happen?
A guy,
it was a few weeks ago. I mentioned it, I think, quickly on the show, whether it be on the show or before we recorded, I mentioned it. And
I forgot somehow. How could that be?
I'm pretty sure I did. Maybe I'm thinking I did and I never did. But yeah, we had this leak situation in the house and I had a roofing guy come in. They couldn't tell where the leak officially came in, but they replaced some shingles, caulked with like, good old roofing caulk. Just what they said, caulk over and over again. Just to try to reinforce some areas, try to get us to buy a new roof. The usual. But
yeah, sure.
It's been raining. It rained all week this week. Not as heavy as that rainfall, but all week and nothing.
Same
so
here.
I'm assuming it was just a combination of maybe an overflowing eaves like trough where like the leaf system was filled up, and I think maybe it was overflowing, causing even more water to come down. That's what I'm thinking happened. But
damn.
anyway, crazy.
Sucks.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
but at least, I mean, it was more upsetting because I'm putting a fucking bucket into my nice, well, in our family room, and there's like water. I had to cut a hole because I could see it was swelling. I cut a hole, and the water just started going down into this bucket. It was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Hold on, my cat wants out of this room.
Okay.
He was getting all upset with your story.
Yeah, I know, right? I understand. Look at that. He's pulling a cat. Oh no, damn it. I thought we were gonna see a cat come out of the Night of the Creeps box.
No, he was leaving. He was like hitting the door with his nose, like, let me out of here. I'm tired of hearing you two fucking talk. Good thing we gave them the short version of our stories, but that is fucked up, man. Just imagine, but that's what you can't let your mind go that route, because that everything happens for a reason, I guess. You got home and everything's fine, but holy shit.
Dude. Pretty crazy doings. It's never a dull moment. I kept saying, well, this is the birthday we're always going to remember. Like, the rest of your life, we're going to remember this day and everything that happened for your.
It was the Best Buy birthday, and now it's this. Oh wait, the other way around. You know what I fucking mean.
It's always something, man. It's always something. But so I was thinking about something. I was looking at the labels, and I was thinking about the fonts of things and the designs and
labels
whatnot.
Of what?
The VHS boxes behind me. I was looking at them because, I love that chopping mall and everything else and labels. And I was thinking, have you realized, and this is the strangest thing, that Evil Dead, ever since we've had the Evil Dead reboots, they have changed, like, the logo, the font of Evil Dead, right? And but this is the thing. They've changed it differently, just a little bit differently with everything they've done. Just so they didn't settle on a new Evil Dead logo, even though it's all the same family, same production, because Raimi and Campbell are involved in it. But the Ash versus Evil Dead, if you look at the way Evil Dead is spelled, it's a different font. Then the movie from 2013 comes out, Evil Dead, and that looks similar style but different. And then with the new movie Rise, that comes out, and you look at the same thing, and they've done it again. It's the strangest thing, because I can't think of another franchise that changes its logo that way with each release. Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're talking about physically on the box too, right? Because Friday the 13th was consistent with it on the box, but in the and it was I was going to go Nightmare on Elm Street. Excuse me, Nightmare on Elm Street was fairly consistent with it on the box, but then when you actually went into the movies, the title cards always looked a little different.
Well, not after, from 3 and on, they looked the right way, but one looked its way. One had a different logo. It had that big nightmare, the red nightmare word. Yeah. And then they changed it afterwards.
2 was like all red, like it was like cut in.
Yes.
A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Yep. And so they started with 3, because you remember how the credits come across? You know what I mean? Yeah.
For some consistency, and then 4.
Unless I'm wrong. No, it's 3.
I'm pretty sure 4.
The quote. The 4 for sure, because it comes out and does it when she's singing "Running Through the Nightmare" song.
Yeah.
That thing. So I used to remember that. Well, I remember it was off-putting even at that point. I was like, that's a weird song to be put at the beginning of Nightmare on Elm Street.
MTV Nightmare. But again,
basically,
we did this. We talked about it. People are going to be like, you guys talk about the same shit. We do talk about the same shit, but that's the love of the show. I mean, at the end of sometimes I forget. Oh, speaking of which, you brought up that thing about Friday the 13th Part 5 over here. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
That little clip. How the fuck have we missed this all these years? I went and I watched a legit copy to make sure it wasn't something just on YouTube. I forgot to text you back. And it's on there. It's on there. It is.
Isn't that something?
Friday, so that everybody knows like what we're talking about, instead of me just talking and not explaining anything. Dave sends me this clip from YouTube and says, did you ever notice this in A New Beginning, that when that guy that as absolutely brought in for the movie just to be a dead body. Like he fucking doesn't serve any other purpose in the fucking film. He shows up, the vagrant guy that shows up at Ethel's and Junior's house and says, "I'd like to earn a meal. Go clean all the shit out of the chicken coop and I'll fill your stomach." You know, paraphrasing. That guy, the guy that just shows up, you're like, oh, is he, what is he going to be? Oh, a dead body. That's it. When he gets killed after watching Deborah Sue Voorhees and what's his face and Eddie Fuck, he turns and he gets killed by who we find out later is Roy. Roy, or on the soundtrack, you hear "kill" as he's getting stabbed. How have I not noticed this before?
I heard the grunt.
Thanks. I thought it was a grunt. I thought it was
right.
But it's
well, it
kill.
is a grunt. He's saying it's a kill grunt. You know what I mean? It's kill. Yeah, but he says kill.
Not die. Kill.
Not die like Michael Myers did. Die.
Kill. But it's there. It's so fucked up. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch it and chime in. Have you heard this before? Because nobody's ever mentioned it. And why hasn't anybody mentioned it? Like nobody's ever mentioned this.
I don't believe so.
It's so weird. But who posted that on? Not that we discovered it. You just happened to see
we
the
didn't
YouTube
discover
clip,
it. No,
and someone was pointing it out, right?
Yeah, somebody posted it in one of the Friday the 13th freaking groups, and and it says something about it says "kill" here. Did you notice? And I was like, what the
I'd love to say yes, I had, but no.
But I hadn't. And I was like, if he tells me he saw it, I'm gonna feel bad. But I always heard a grunt, But you hear the grunt.
Try to be, I try to be open and honest about everything. Like, I mean, if I've been like, oh yeah, but like I've gotten shit wrong. Like even if you go, I've said it time and time again. You listen back to those first few TGIF 13 ones. You know, whether it's just my mind or my mouth going faster than my head, the brain, as I always say, and I'm just regurgitating stuff, and it might not be the right shit, or I've just said wrong stuff, or I mixed up the titles, or I think I was saying that one of the movies was supposed to be named something different, and it was the totally wrong title. I make mistakes all the time, but then we forget to correct them after. But I never heard that "kill" before.
No. Isn't that something? Yeah, so check it out. Part 5, when the guy, that is one ugly motherfucker walks there. She says about him, she just passed away. Rest in peace to her. Not too long ago. What's her name again?
It's Ethel in the movie. I forget.
Ethel.
Martha. I don't know.
Susan Corkatell or something like that. I don't know. I gotta
Martha.
know,
I can't. I
Martha,
know I'm so bad. I apologize.
No, I think it's Susan Cockratell or something like that. I'll look it up. New Beginning.
But yeah, very interesting. Another little Friday the 13th tidbit, because we knew, we never talk about Friday the 13th on this show at all.
Well, no,
it's funny though that we haven't heard any more news about the show. It was like boom, bam, bing, all this information, and now nothing. It's like radio silence.
Yeah,
and
it is weird. Where is she? She's the only one not listed.
Ethel. Look for Ethel.
But I understand. She's the only one that I can't find on freaking. Oh, there it is. Carol Locatel. What did I say?
I can't remember, but you had it closer than me with Martha.
Yeah. I think I said Susan Cockratell or something like that, or Corkratell. Either way.
Roof cocking.
And how about this? You know, she passed away. What did you say? Roof cocking.
Yeah, sorry. And you're talking about you're doing like a little memoir, and I'm talking about roof cocking.
I believe she passed away on the same day Richard Brooker passed away. Which is, weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure I saw something. One thing posted one thing the day she passed, and then another Friday group that said that was the day that Richard Brooker passed. Let's see, April 11th, 2023. That's her. So let's see, Richard Brooker. Because no one's mentioned that. Like I thought, but then again, that's why it might not be true. So I said April 11th? No, April 8th. Get them. So, all right, sorry.
Close. Close
Stupid
proximity.
internet. Stupid
Yeah.
freaking, because I Facebook, all I do now is go to the group pages. You got the group feed where so you just see group stuff posted. But they, instead of just being the right way where it just shows either a highlight or it shows like what's most recent, it just randomly picks everything. So you got a thing posted 20 minutes ago and then another one posted 3 days ago that follows it in the group. That's the problem with
Yeah.
the feed that way.
It might be
So-
because somebody also just commented on it, though, that that's the reason why it's there from the time
Oh,
frame. That's usually what I've noticed, but it's annoying.
interesting. Okay.
What was I going to say about what we were just talking about? It was probably Friday the 13th related too, but it
Oh,
left. Yeah.
damn it. It has to do with Richard Brooker and Carol Locatel.
No,
That
I
situation.
don't think
The
it had to do
Friday
with
groups. Yeah.
No,
Oh well.
it's fine.
It'll come back. More Friday the 13th talk is destined to come. Oh, I know what you were gonna say. We haven't really got any information about it. New show since they said.
Yeah, I did say
Which is-
I don't think I was adding anything to that though, but it is weird because it was like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 and now nothing. Now I'm still hoping it was coming out this year, but I don't even know if it went into production. It was like announced, but I don't actually know if it's actually taken that next step.
Yeah.
It's not like we got like, yeah.
it's like Maxine. I don't know
Well,
when it's
Maxine,
coming
we
out,
got like production shot from, right? Her getting out of
Well,
that
we
car.
got it,
wasn't
but-
from, yeah,
but no release date.
true.
I don't know. Is it this year or is it not? Because it's really
Yeah,
the only
we
thing I'm
looked it
looking
up
forward
last
to.
time.
I'm not looking forward to anything else. And
I'm
Not to
looking
beat a
forward to
dead
that new
horse, but-
Saw. So the rumor is the only thing I've heard now. This is a rumor, and again, I don't know anything. It was a headline type thing that I believe it's supposed to take place between Saw 1 and 2, which is the reason why everybody's able to come back.
I didn't know who's coming back, but
That's
that's interesting.
But that's all I know because I heard rumors. But again, this is all. I've not read an article thoroughly about it, but I heard that how are you going to get Tobin Bell back, but I heard that they're going back to that time frame. That's all
I got something to
whether-
say about that.
Whether or not that's true, that's the other thing, because again, this may just be a rumor. But if that's an interesting take and probably the best way they could have gone.
Yeah. Well,
based
I
on
got
what's
something to
happened
say
recently.
about it. I
Yeah.
have an opinion on that whole idea with Tobin Bell, but I'm gonna wait 1 minute to tell it because I'm gonna run. So can you keep
Oh.
them entertained for a minute?
Yeah, just a minute,
Okay.
or no? I can
Yeah.
also. Yeah, okay,
A
I
minute.
can do this.
We've been doing that
I'll
lately.
talk
It's kind
about
of a new
TV.
gimmick.
I'll
Yeah,
talk
there you
about
go. Talk
TV
about
for a bit.
TV.
That's what I
All
wanted to talk about when I couldn't remember what I was going to say. Is that I've checked out the first episode of Dead Ringers, which is a really interesting modern take on it. Just one episode though. I haven't. I watch TV very slowly. I only binge certain things, it seems. So I liked Rachel Weisz. I think that's her name. Weisz, whatever. She's great in it. I think she did a fantastic job playing both roles, and it was an interesting ending to the first episode. A little abrupt, but an interesting ending that might throw some people off, or might make people not as interested to continue with the show. That's my prediction anyway, but I want to check it out. Based on Jason Smith's recommendation, he told me to check out From because it's on Paramount Plus, which I didn't resubscribe to. And I think season 2 just started, and I haven't seen any episodes. So I started to watch the first 2 episodes, and that's actually really well done. Pretty creepy show, good cast of characters, acting with a little spotty here and there, but overall, some of the creepiest shit that I've seen recently, and some good gore. So I recommend that. I'm 2 episodes in, and it's good so far. So that's great. And I ended up watching, based on Dave's recommendation, even though I didn't really want to check it out, because I thought maybe I'd get a visit from the Royal Mounties or the Royal Canadian Mounties, whatever, not or
I am the
FBI
Mountie.
even. Only because I was checking out Surviving R. Kelly, and I watched the first 5 episodes of that season 1.
Wow.
That's fucking
How
crazy,
about-
man. I thought he
how
pissed on a
about-
girl, and that was it.
Did you,
Like as I
buddy?
mentioned before, that's all I
Told you.
thought happened.
So
'Cause
did
never
I.
was-
So
It's a whole fucking thing. It's fucking
Dude,
crazy.
I told you, and I didn't know it either.
Yeah.
I had the same result, and that's what I told you. I told Irene the same thing. They had some shit.
Yeah.
Watch it. It's in the Cosby one shows you a whole lot more than I knew about Cosby too. There's another one called
Is that the we have to talk about Cosby? Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that
Dude,
either.
I have
Yeah.
watched nothing. Pardon, besides the shows for the show. Okay,
Yeah,
I watched one horror movie compared to 20 documentaries, and I just one day said, let me try one of the horror movies off my list because I've been kind of down about
same with me.
2020. So I was like, okay, I'll try one of these. Sure enough, another 6 out of 10. I'm like, but that was the only time I've watched nothing.
Which one was it, if you don't mind me asking?
Which one? Oh, the horror
Got to
movie?
see-
Oh, I gotta look it up. Hold on, but I'm gonna go onto my phone anyway. 2023 horror. It was Sarah the Bone Woman.
I haven't even heard of it.
It was on my list for a reason. Believe me, it made the cut. It takes so much for me to watch something, and
And
made
it was
the
a
cut.
6 out of 10.
Yeah, dude, that's the kind of year I'm having. That is the kind of year.
Wow.
Oh, so what was I gonna say?
Well, I was talking about R. Kelly. You're talking about documentaries.
Yeah, all the
yeah.
well, before I get to the documentaries, 2023 or Saw 10. Here's my beef. Here's my beef. You're gonna try to de-age Tobin Bell again? It's been over 20 years, right? And you're not talking about somebody between the ages of, 20 and 40. You're talking about someone between the ages of what, 50 and 70? It's got to be a huge
They'll
difference.
Skeet Earl like them. They're gonna do whatever, or the Irishman, or whatever the fuck. They'll probably actually do the de-aging that way instead of putting a baseball cap backwards or 2 baseball caps backwards, as we were joking about, to make him extra young. I think because that fucking meme is fucking hilarious. That just to make him young, they put a baseball cap.
It is
backwards on him.
crazy. How ridiculous.
It's great, but all joking aside, I assume they'll de-age them with CG, which I'm okay with if it's done all right. Like we've seen it with varying degrees. Like we've seen CG characters when they're trying to replicate the Star Wars, some of the iconic Star Wars characters for the end of Rogue One or whatever it may be. So
which I liked it.
Yeah. So
I was okay with their CGs.
I'm
but that's
okay.
their kind of money. That's
Yeah.
Disney money. This is freaking
Saw money?
Dimension
Yeah.
or whoever the fuck it. Who's making Saw? Twisted Pictures? Whatever it
Yeah.
is. Sony? Is it
Twisted Pictures, you're the.
Sony?
I don't know why I turned that into Sister Christian.
I don't know. That's funny though. That's funny.
Twisted
Dude.
Pictures.
So have you watched any horror or not? Because all I can mention is documentaries.
No, I've watched a lot of documentaries as well.
You really?
When was the last thing I watched? I mean, I saw Super Mario in the theater with my son a couple of weeks ago. I think I brought that up. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed that. I was shocked.
That's
I was
really
not
cool.
going in thinking I was going to like it at all. And I was like, wow, this is actually fun.
Shit, man.
I
Nice.
was
Good.
I couldn't believe it. Where am I here? Yeah, it's not. I mentioned this the last one of the episodes. I'm only 15 movies in this year. I think Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey was like the last one I watched.
How many am I in? Let's see here. I don't even know. Something Walks in the Woods, and then Huesera. Another one. See? Something Walks in the Woods with a freaking 5.5. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
man.
And I talked about Winnie the Pooh the last time, I think. Like still the ones that have stood out were probably Scream, Missing, and A Knock at the Cabin. And Missing's not even a horror film. Those are the ones. And Infinity Pool, I'm intrigued to check it out again. I was middling on it, but it's made me want to rewatch it, which tells me something. I think I mentioned that as well. But nothing else. The park was a bit surprising. It was better than I was expecting it to be, but it's not definitely worth everybody checking out. It's a soft recommend to some. And there's something wrong with the children was good. I enjoyed that one too. Wasn't blown away, but it was good.
Nope. It was fine. Yep.
Candyland was good. I wasn't blown away by that
Yep.
either, but it was good.
Agreed.
I could say that it was good. I wasn't blown
was
away,
good.
but it was good. Just a soundbite.
Yeah, well, that's it though. I did okay. It's just that I'm only 15 in.
Well,
Same thing. 15 horror movies and not off to a great start. But since our last show, I'm just gonna run off the freaking docs I watched because it's pretty wild. So since the last show, we need to talk about Cosby. That okay? The Way Down, God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin. That's something to see. These all are. I'll tell you, Mommy Dead and Dearest. That's pretty messed up stuff there. All documentaries. I Love You, Now Die, The Commonwealth, Ellie Carter.
sorry.
Seduced, Inside the Nexium Cult. Oh, then we watched Aqua Teen. That was the one we watched the night of the when we had to stay up because of the gas in the house. We decided to watch the Aqua Teen. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the cartoon.
Oh, yes.
We watched the movie Colon, their first movie from 2007. Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. That one's about Warren Jeffs. Prophet's Prey, The Source Family, Sarah the Bone Woman, Sins of Our Mother, Capturing the Freedmans, Boy Interrupted, Who Took Johnny, Hell House, not LLC, Dear Zachary, and Bikram, Yogi Guru Predator. And I just started the Joan Benet one yesterday because I will tell you this. I knew nothing about this Joan Benet Ramsey since it happened. That's how long it's been since I watched the news. Since that age, and I said, okay, that sounds cold. I don't want to say I don't care about some missing girl that got murdered. Everybody was talking about all this stuff going on. I completely stayed out of it. I go, well, people get killed all the time. It just didn't grip me. I didn't want to know either on top of it.
People get killed all the time.
Well, it's true. Every day kids are killed. How come only some are on the news?
Yeah, I know, it's just your logic sometimes. It makes me laugh.
It sucks. I just don't see how one case is more important than another. You can watch like all the shows now, the crime cases, and there's so many more serial killers and criminals and murderers than you knew of, but only some are on the news. But anyway, that's because they went to the news. They went to CNN before they went to freaking their local news because that whole thing. So the Joan Benet thing, I'm finally getting to the bottom of that. I watched part 1, part 2's coming, but that's all I've watched is freaking all these shows about cults and about murderers and pretty wild suicides, some other things, some freaking allegations for pedophilia, different stuff, man. But can't stop watching it. So
no, there's a ton, whether on all those different streaming services, and I watch mostly the serial killer ones, but yeah, I've gotten down like this rabbit hole, and they're all fairly entertaining,
for sure,
in a weird way.
For sure.
in a weird,
no, I like them all,
way.
man. It's the same thing with me. It takes time for me to settle on what doc I'm going to watch. So I got to research. So that's what I've been doing. But, so now I thought I would put you on the spot just for the sake of the show. This is usually something I bring up privately, but for your honest reaction on the show, I thought this would be funny, or maybe not funny, but entertaining. Okay. Do you honestly want to do another summer sausage?
Oh yeah, I make the joke, but I don't mind. Like what was, I know we were talking about Hellraiser.
Well, Hellraiser,
I don't know
for
if
sure.
our listeners,
But here's the thing.
I don't know if their listeners want it. That's the thing.
Oh, okay, we could put it
because
to a
didn't we
vote.
do a poll? Didn't we? Maybe I'm wrong. I thought we decided maybe that was last year. No, we did it last year. It was last. When did we do it? Was it 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago because
we were going to do it last
still
year
with us. That's what it was, and we didn't. We put it to a vote, and I think we were told no.
Well, because at the time you said, would you rather us wait till Brandon comes back to do another one? Now they have no choice. That's why. That's what the question was posed. Should we wait? Because that's what I said in the show. I wouldn't feel right doing it without him. Now we have no choice.
Now we feel fine.
Now we feel fine. We can even have a guest
business as usual.
You know. But
well, I'm good with it, man. honestly, yeah. Like, what was our options again?
Well, now that it's 8 movies, it's slim pickings. When it was 7, it was easier. Tremors went
I haven't seen
along and
this.
something.
Yeah.
Children of the Corn would have gone with 7 movies. But
Oh, oh.
so now oh, hold on a second. I came up with something I saw the other
Oh.
day. Hold on. So let's see. 8 movies. Oh, 8 movies, Children of the Corn, the Universal Frankenstein, all of them. Or something I looked at, the Ju-On franchise, but just Ju-On movies. If you do the movies just called Ju-On, 1 and 2, Curse, 1 and 2, Cult. I mean, Cult. What? Sorry. Curse and Cult. I'm thinking about Chucky. Curse, Cult.
Well, there's
1
that
and
too.
2, 1 and 2, Curse, 1 and 2, Grudge. Okay, that's what they are. Black Ghost, White Ghost. The beginning of the end and the final is 8 movies. Now you're leaving off the American Grudge movies, and you're leaving off Sadako versus Kayako. But these 8 movies, because it's just 8, are the only ones called Ju-On, whatever. You know what I mean? It's the Japanese Ju-On series. So those would be the options.
I
Universal
think we got to put it to a
Frankenstein.
vote. I'm not against it, but I think we got to put it to a vote and see, because
Whether or not to do it, or what to choose.
both. I think.
Okay.
I don't think it was well received. Like, don't get me wrong. I think they enjoyed when we did the last time. Maybe not necessarily the Amityville movies, but our take on them, whatever it may be. But now that we're going into this, it's a combination of, do we do this throughout the summer? And because it's going
Well,
to
it's
take
8
this
shows.
many shows. Yeah.
It's 8 shows. It's summer sausage. But I think people like franchise shows. That's what the whole idea is. They always seem to like that stuff.
Well, then we definitely then we can make it. I'm okay with it. So then we can just say, yeah, we're doing it. And now they've got to decide which ones it's going to be.
Yeah. Well,
I'm okay
hopefully
with
they
that.
don't want to torture us and make us watch Children of the Corn.
Well, we
We're
already did one.
doing.
We already did Children of the Corn 1, and we already did.
Oh,
There's also Child's Play. We already did Child's Play 1 as well. Correct.
oh, we can't do it. You're right. We can't do it. So it's Universal
we-
Frankenstein.
But we also did
but-
Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3 already.
Well, that's why we're just going to do 4 and on.
Yeah. Okay, I guess. Yeah.
We're picking up where we
equals the
left
amount.
off. It's 8 movies now with the remake. So it's 8 of them. So yeah, that was the idea. 4 and onward, the eight sequels. Then we're the only podcast that starts a franchise in freaking 5 years
4.
ago, and 5 years later finishes it. We're gonna do the first 3 now, and later on we're gonna do these ones.
Yeah. Fuck.
Didn't we do that for something else too? But we haven't finished it yet. We did like a trilogy, and that was it. We left off something. I don't know.
Oh, Amityville, we've continued, but yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what we did. We finished
Can't
Amityville.
remember, to be
We
honest.
finished freaking Texas Chainsaw. You know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm good with it. Let's just put it to a vote of what one, like whatever options we've got from.
Well, now it's Frankenstein or Ju-On. That's what it is.
With Hellraiser.
Interesting. With Hellraiser.
Okay.
Yep. Because I really wanted to discuss the Hellraisers since I watched them that one time. What was it, 2 years ago or something, or 3? And I told you guys,
Yeah.
I sat down and watched them all right in a row. Never saw them before after part 4, and did not hate a single one. And I said, you know what? Because they're all different, I think it makes for an interesting show. More to talk about.
I'll be up for it. I'm good with that. And then yeah, we'll just have to find out. Yeah, what is going to pair with it, like a fine wine.
Nice. For sure. No, I'm excited about it because I really do want to talk those ones.
So that would be July and August?
Yeah, official summer. Whatever. June, July, August, September. Whatever it is. It's 8 consecutive shows.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? So
oh yeah, I forgot we do 3, that 4 month. So 3. So yeah, we could do June, July, August, or July, August, September. Good with either.
It would be cool. A little change of pace, and then we'll go back to the regular drawing board, you know? So So
Well, we
that's
can
an
get
idea.
if we get that solidified, then yeah, we can. We'll have our 3 shows in May, and then maybe we can start it in June.
All right. Well, so at the end of this show, we'll put up a vote. That's
Sounds good.
cool. That'll be interesting. A little summer sausage. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited about it. You know, it's good stuff. It's nice to have different, different
for
stuff to do
change it up now as well. We've I think
as usual.
yeah, why not? It's the way the show goes. We like to just change it up.
If
And it is,
nothing
you're
else
right, it
about
is
the
only
show,
8 shows.
yeah. No, it's good. See, that's what I like about this podcast. I'll say that about it. That we just change things up all the time and try to keep it interesting by doing different formats and in different ways and stuff. So
Well,
that's cool.
exactly. I mean, otherwise it gets a little boring for everybody involved.
Man.
Whether it's the listeners or us. So I like it.
I wish I listened to a show that did this. I'm trying to think of another show that does it. Weird, isn't it? I can't think
It
of
is
it. I barely listen to any podcast right now anyway. So
I've told you
times
I've been the
have changed.
same. I've been the same a little, other than Video Archives from Tarantino. That one I kind of got into, and it just was. It's kind of like addictive.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense, it's funny because Tarantino is it. I love him, but he's exactly what you expected to be. I know it all loudmouth on the show. Like, it pains me because I feel like sometimes I do this to you. What he does to Roger Avery. No, I feel like he always interrupts and says, "This is what it will be on the show." And you just know that that's a Tarantino-ism, and it doesn't really bother you. But I feel like I do that to you, and then I get sad because I'm like, I don't want to be that dick that I cut you off.
No way. No way. As long as I can remember, I don't give a shit. As long as I can remember what I was saying before.
Bothers me.
That's fair. We are our worst critics. We all know that.
I'm just thinking, what do you want to jump into? Because we're talking about a classic today. So
yeah. It's weird though. Even though it's a classic, and even though I absolutely love it, I don't have a lot of notes. And as I'm watching, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to have a lot to say. And that's so weird to say considering my feelings on the movie. And I can't explain why.
That's okay. Well,
yeah, it's weird.
Talk it out.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk it out. I'm going to look and see what I rated this movie. Not rated, but when we made our top 200 lists, Well,
we took this out of, it was number 2 for me, but it always could be 1 or 2. Like it flip-flops. I gave The Thing number 1 and this number 2. And it's been the vice versa in the past. And I've even had Psycho up there. It was still up there, but so that can always change, but I don't know. Between The Thing and Dawn of the Dead, you can't go wrong with either or. I mean, I would like to say the summary for this is, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth, as it says behind me, and the tagline for it. But I mean, the official breakdown is the zombie apocalypse has hit Earth. 2 personnel from a TV station and 2 policemen set off in a helicopter to find a safe place to hide out. Their search leads them to a shopping mall where they manage to find a place that, while not zombie free, is quite secure. So far, so good. That's actually just written by a fan, it seems, but sums it up as well.
There you go. Right, man. So Dawn of the Dead was my number 17. It was your number 2. And it was number 10 on the ultimate list, on the aggregate top 200.
Nice, man. And that's, of course, directed by George Romero, and it came out in 1978.
And how about this? This is the movie that started the gore as we got to know it in the 80s. Because
I agree. Like, there was gore, there was blood, there was other movies that had
good stuff, though.
Bava and whatever. We've talked about some of these and whatever, but this is the one that was like, they're like showpieces that were just stood out. And of course we credit Tom Savini for that. And
right, that's it.
But
it's like with the slashers. Savini gets the credit. We talk about Friday the 13th being the one that kicked off the slasher that way because they added the gore and that changed things, right? So it's like, so Savini did it in that movie in Friday, but he actually really did it here first, where we saw that type of gore. Granted, to watch it now, there's only like 4 or 5 actual gore gags, almost less than some slashers, and the rest is actually a lot of bullet holes and blood splatters. There isn't so much
blood. Yeah, yeah.
right. I'm not knocking it, but I remember being a kid thinking at the time,
Yep. Well,
it was the most
changed.
the goriest thing I'd seen.
Same.
And
no
right.
question.
And looking back on it now, and I'm not knocking it, what we do see is great. I mean, that head explosion in the beginning is fucking amazing as is. And, the helicopter and the screwdriver and the machete in the head. And we do get the gags. We do get stuff. Parts ripped off, guts. So we get that stuff. Good looking guts. Not like Blood Feast and shit like that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
like,
yeah.
pig innards.
Well, it literally, you could use Night as the starting point. Now that's black and white and not nearly as gory, but it's still there.
Right.
And then this is like, now they've got the ability to show it in color, and they do, but it's not quite as gratuitous or as crazy as Day. It's literally stepping stone. All 3 movies, Day being now the goriest, and probably the effects work on that, he blows this one away even. In a sense, like they really mastered everything there, but you can't take away from the power of like the helicopter sequence is just so good. It's so cool, that exploding head and everything. I just like the chaos. I like the feeling, the setup of this movie, being in that TV studio and feeling kind of the sense of urgency. Like he really gets that across. Like you feel unsettled,
big time,
and you're just thrown into it. And every time I watch this, you're just thrown into it. But one other thing I'll give the credit for the 4K, although the zombies don't look great yet. I mean, another thing that is definitely escalated and kind of just almost perfect in Day of the Dead. These ones are definitely more pasty faced, and they always looked kind of weird, sometimes blue, depending on the VHS or what copy you had in the past. But the color timing on this 4K definitely gives them back that grayscale look. I'm not saying they're great still. It's still face paint, but they look better than they have in the past, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I agree. Here's a question about if you're talking about the 4K quality, there's one thing I noticed. The scene after they go inside and the old priest comes and he has the, instead of the leg, he has a crutch in place of his leg, right? This time watching it, I barely saw the crutch until he was walking out. And even then, if I didn't know it was there, it wouldn't have stuck out. So that scene for me on the 4K was a little dark, unless that scene's always been that way, where you can only see it at the end.
Well, again, I don't know, because I pulled the scene out earlier. You almost have to look at a side-by-side comparison. That could be HDR. That could just be the proper color timing. And we've just had it different in the past, right? This is why these transfers can be great in one way, but then introduce other things that you're like, well, it's never been like that before. And that's the trade-off, right? For the higher resolution, you're going to get maybe a few of those shots that seem very soft focus-wise. Like, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, but I didn't notice it. I did obviously see him, because he seems like he glides in. It's almost like he's on skates. And then, and then you're right. Then you see him pop out there later. But it's so, that whole opening, you're getting to know the different characters. At first, it's maybe a little jarring why you slam cut to this building and the SWAT team kind of going in. But that's what I love about this movie. It just throws you in to these sequences and whatever. Then before you know it, it's because we're being introduced to these characters and what has happened kind of like between night and dawn. They set it up very well. We get a lot of that through the TV broadcasts and the quote unquote specialists or experts in the field. A lot of that stuff is quotable. And it is really good. You've got that just to kind of give you an idea of what's happening worldwide, even though we don't see a lot of it. We do see some of it from the helicopter, but that's the difference between this movie and the remake, is The remake would, again, I'm not down on the remake, but I think I can agree with something that I believe you said about the remake, that every time you watched it, it went a little further down for you. Is that the Dawn of the Dead
I've
remake?
always said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. From the first time I saw it, where I thought, wow, this is not, it's not the same as this movie, but we'll get there. It's definitely gone down every time I watch it. And that one is more on the nose. And this one has something to say, whether it be the ongoing arguments that we've read about consumerism or whatever it may be. But this, again, is the monster. Are we the real monster? Like, you could see it here as well in this movie. And that theme is carried through a lot of zombie films or other movies about, like, when shit hits the fan and we're put into this apocalyptic world. What does that say about us as a species, or as humans, and how far are we willing to go, and what is that going to draw from us?
It says a lot.
And you get it here. Yeah.
But it's done the perfect way. It's not overly preachy. It's an art to do this. And once again, that's what Parker said when he was on the show. He said Romero, and he was talking about Craven and whatnot, and those guys, and they were able to put it in there. And that's what separates them from everybody else, how great they were at doing it, man. And this one here, like, okay, to the movie itself, I love the way we're dropped in the beginning, because it hooks you. And it's some of my favorite stuff. Some of my favorite stuff in this movie is seeing the turmoil between the people doing their debating, the TV stations in the beginning. Some people are worried about pay. Some people don't care about ratings. Some people are just concerned about themselves, and they're arguing about what to do. And that's how it would be. And I love that aspect of the movie. Is dropped right into it, and it grips you. It grabs you. Even like yesterday, Irene and Francesca weren't going to watch the movie, and they had to do some things. Well, they sat down right when I was starting it to eat, and they got sucked in. They ended up watching like the first like half an hour or a little bit longer. Then they said, okay, I got to go. But I was like, okay, they got sucked right into it. Now, Irene's seen it before. Frankie is not, but I was like, oh, this is cool. I thought for a minute they were going to stay with me, but they didn't. They had stuff they had to do anyway, so I get it. But I was like, oh, this is cool. Gripped them, and it's right in. You know what I mean? So like, I'll probably finish it with Frankie one of these times. And that is great. I love that part of the movie. And then, okay, this is different than 1 and 3. Okay, Night has its a setup that's similar to today, where people are in one place. They're trapped in a smaller place. Now in Dawn, yes, they are trapped in the mall.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's more to it.
Yeah.
And they're not fighting with each other. I mean, they are, but in the right kind of way, where they would get on each other's nerves, particularly the couple. You know what I mean? And it says a lot about us and going stir crazy, and you know what I mean? And a lot of stuff about women's lib. There's a lot of stuff about what she's going through. Being
I want the TV on.
Just everything. I noticed that more this time than any time. The abortion talk and everything else, and how at the time, you know, she was being neglected in the conversation about, and so all that stuff is great. Here's a question. And it's always, I think one time I figured it out, but when we go to that part, when they're going to that building to blow up, what's his name? The bad guy, and they're going in there doing all this stuff. Why are they there to begin with? Because there's the guy in there that's like a big drug dealer or something?
Yeah, the Martinez, I believe.
Right, Martinez.
Or is that who it is? Yeah. And they're going to get them. They're held up in there, and that's who they're trying to get out. And then shit goes crazy as they go into the tenement, and they realize that, wait a second, they have a bunch of people that are dead, and they've put them in the basement, and all this other shit that's been going on. It just happens to coincide, and that one guy goes ape shit and starts blowing people away.
It's kind of weird that we would flash to that.
Well, that's it. But it is weird.
It's weird. It's weird because they're concentrating on it. Why would they be concentrating on one drug dealer when they got zombies running all over the place and the world is falling apart? It's weird that they put us there then. You know,
You know
I never
why
thought
though?
about it.
I agree. I agree to a certain degree here. I think it's that we're still in that transition zone where the world is not. We're at that tipping point. Like as we said, that one description said the apocalypse is happening, but it's like the start of it. So like night happened, and I don't believe we're supposed to be 10 years later. I think this is supposed to be maybe a few months later, maybe a year later. So shit's hit the fan. People are learning to live like this, but there's still some sort of civilized aspect that is still that maybe it's falling apart as this movie is happening
Yeah.
before we get to day, maybe. But I agree, you're right, because you kind of when you question it, you're like, well, why are they so
Yeah.
worried about this drug lord when there's zombies all over the place?
I never thought about that till this time. I was like, huh, that is awfully weird timing. And I thought it was a guy that's involved in drugs, but it's so weird they brought that many people there just to try to get one guy. Just in
Well,
general, I never thought I don't want to say it's out of place. I never thought about it beyond just it being there
I feel like this
till
could be like
today, until
weeks
this
after
last time.
night or something. Sorry for talking over
No.
you there, Dave. But I feel like this could be weeks over past night, and I feel bad not even realizing this. I've never, I don't know if I've ever thought much more about it. Maybe since like the first time I watched it, of when does this fit in the timeline? I know in day they don't necessarily say how much longer it is, but they allude to that. Doc says something about the ratio that he believes 100,000 to
Yeah.
1. That
Right.
were about
Whatever it is.
100,000 to 1. So that's way beyond. And this is still sort of at that turning point. So maybe that's the reason why, Dave. Maybe we're a couple of weeks in. Yeah, shit's hitting the fan. Maybe you'd be like, well, why is that a priority? But maybe there is still sort of law. They've got to still follow suit with things, and shit's happening. They got to stop this guy. And there happens to be zombies as well that other people
Well,
are dealing with.
it is coinciding with everything else. It's coinciding with the stuff in the beginning because you have to remember they all come together to take the chopper to go away as friends.
And I like that the
Remember,
TV chopper.
Roger
They go.
knows Steven. So
Yeah.
this is taking place at the same time. So that stuff with Martinez is taking place the same night that excuse me, that Steven and Fran are going to decide to take off because they said the news is going to be over at midnight anyway. They said they're not even going to be on the air anymore. So
Do
it
you
did take
think
place at the same time.
do you think they were alluding to any racial overtones at all when when Peter comes on board and he's like, do you think do we have enough do you think we could have his weight or whatever? But do you think it was like they didn't know who he was, or do you think that didn't come into play at all? They're just concerned about the weight of having 4 adults in the.
Well, yeah, because it happens really quick because Fran just
Yeah.
asked it as she's getting in. So do you think we have enough weight? And they go, yeah, we should be fine. That was
Yeah,
it.
but then he
So it
kind of gives a
wasn't like
side eye. He gives a side. I wasn't sure if I'm just maybe reading into it because there was that aspect in the first one that you disagree with. I know you don't think that was necessarily part of Night. Am I correct in saying that? In that, is that
what was it?
your thought process, like the racial overtones in Night?
Oh, not the end part. No, just the story in the beginning. Fine, it's there. But again, he just said, just like I said last time, that he casted him because he was best for the part, not because he was a black guy. He happened to be
Yeah.
a black guy. That's it. He didn't put him in there and say, I'm going to have a statement. If that were the case, then yeah, then I'd agree with that. But he has himself said, I don't think he changed the script because the guy that he says just happened to be cast just happened to be a black gentleman.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't make any
No,
sense. Because, well,
I
I got
don't
a black guy
disagree.
here. I'm going to change the whole script. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why, to me, it's always been a simple answer. But whatever, people like to see somebody blow on a fart as a political statement. You know what I mean? They
And-
like to work politics into everything, which is fine.
Oh,
Everybody has their own thing. I'm
that's
just
the
saying
one
some
with the
people
effect.
do that.
I knew there was another effect that I mean, there's probably a ton that we're missing, but the one that always got me, that right out of the gate, so you get that head blown, but the husband biting into the woman's
Yeah.
arm and the neck. It still looks amazing in 4K, where all this
Yes.
extra resolution has definitely made some effects from back in the day not look as good. This still looks amazing, and it's always been so fucking gory.
Yeah.
that always gets me, and it still does to this day. It's just a chunk just torn out, and it just looks
Yes.
crazy. I remember in one of the commentaries, I think when he did the neck bite, he actually caught a piece of her or something like that, I believe. And so that scream,
Wow.
there's some realism there as well.
Wow.
I that's just from one of the commentaries from back in the day, probably the one that's on this one as well, but it was from the DVD set. But that stuff is all great. I mean, but we're thrown into it, as we've mentioned before, and it's cool because you get an idea of it's actually showing that people are having issues with this. Like that one cop commits suicide, the other one
Yeah.
goes stir crazy. So you know that the weight of everything that's
Yep.
happening is playing a toll on them. But so it's cool because it's showing what's happening to society, but we're also introduced to Peter and Roger here as well.
Yep.
And that's a great way to introduce them, even though we're at first you're just kind of thrown in. And then that's who takes the TV copter, helicopter, which is great. And then you get that whole thing with the rednecks and people hunting and again
Yep.
reiterating who's the real monster here, kind of motif. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of coolness in that, and that's what I feel like the movie bridges that gap. It feels very Night of the Living Dead, but in color. There, like there's some of the soundtrack, some of the
Oh
way
man.
and again, you have the same director there, but I think he does a great way of just sort of updating his original vision and taking it that one major step forward, in my opinion. Although I think I
Definitely.
give all three movies 10 out of 10. This is still
Yeah.
my favorite of the three, no question.
I had quite an experience this time. It's been a while. It's been a while, but I had quite an experience watching it.
Well,
Took me back to my love for it even more so. So that
and
was cool.
where I was going with it, and then I went into a whole different realm. There's zombies from beginning to end here, in a sense. They're there, but it's still not the focal point. It's not the main thing. Like we get a lot of zombie shots, but it's really about the characters, as we've always said. That's what makes it work, and
Yep.
that's what Romero was always arguing against the new ones. Is the focus was put too much on the zombies and the gore, and although you had characters, it seemed like they were second nature to the apocalyptic part. But we're not like people that have liked, for instance, Chris A. Scott, again, bring him up again. He loves Halloween. He loves Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He thinks this movie is an utter bore. And that is shocking to me.
Yeah.
But especially since he's grown up and appreciated those older ones, to separate this one as being an utter bore. I can understand a little bit more so. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can understand a little bit more so of a younger horror fan just not being able to get into any of those movies because they're quote unquote old and they just can't be invested. Their attention span might just not be there, whatever it may
Mhm.
be. But the fact that he separates this one as being the bore out of the three is a little surprising to me, because I always feel like there's stuff going on, even when it's just maybe them watching TV and secluded up in that little office area
Well,
that
here's
they
the
try to
difference.
play home or house, as they say.
It's like I said, this is different than 1 and 3. In this one, the dialogue that happens, yes, there is the bickering on the TV, and yes, there's bickering within our 4 main characters, and then we have what we have at the end, the final showdown, if you will. But the stuff with the main characters in the middle, it's commentary and it's little stir crazy stuff and it's relationship, but it isn't as combative as what you get in Night and what you get in Day. That's the difference. There are slower moments in this. They're good for character building, but they're
Yeah.
slower. They're not as explosive. It's which is the brilliance of it, is that it's below the surface because they're going stir crazy and they all have their agendas and they're for different people. But for me, everything about the relationship, there was so much done with Fran's character, and just I picked up on more this time about some of the things she was saying and why she was saying it and everything else. That this was more about, it was more talking about female empowerment than
Absolutely.
anything
Yeah, yeah,
else
yeah.
in this
I
movie.
love that. But
Yes.
again, it's there, and maybe it is on the nose, but it doesn't feel like it's being forced to us. It's like them having a discussion of what do you want to do with it. It's the guys
Yep.
discussing what they want to
Right.
do. But for her, it's very timely now. It's fucking crazy that this is 78 and you can play it now, and now it would seem forced because of everything's happening here.
True.
So think of how ahead of the time it is back then, and how she was kind of left in that, like, was it a Harry Krishner? I don't know, like that one zombie that comes
Yeah.
and gets
Remember?
her, and
Yep.
she's left feeling like she's being attacked or whatever, that she said, like, I don't want to be left alone. I want to have a
Right.
say. I want to have equal. And Peter's like, yep, absolutely. Except you're not coming with us until you learn how to handle yourself. And they teach her
Right.
how to fly the fucking helicopter, how to shoot a gun, and whatever. Now, again, the commentary there is not like, oh, you need a man to teach you. I think that could get lost in the thing, but I think it's that her empowerment of her taking that stance and saying,
It was
hey,
her idea.
exactly, this is what is moving, this is what I want moving forward. So I think that's what is great about it. And she even waits for him at the end, which I've always been a little bit, I thought it would be very fucking dark in my mind when I first saw it, that he has that second thought of like maybe just wanting to die there. He says, fuck it, I'm going. But if she took off and he's just left and then the zombies come after him, I always thought that would have been a fucking dark, fucking brutal ending.
True.
But well, I like the heroic
Me
music
too.
and him coming
Yeah, it's
up,
funny.
and you get the actual dawn of the dead there at the end, and everything else, and she waits for him. So there's a cool aspect there as well. But
For sure. But there's a lot there. Like when they have that dinner, when he has the dinner for them shortly after Roger's gone, and
about
he
the
goes, just
marriage,
for the
yeah,
two of you. You know what I mean? He comes out, I'm stepping out, and they have their wine. Then the next scene, I never picked up on this before. After this, it flash cuts to them naked in bed, just sitting there, not looking at each other, just sitting there
disappointed,
looking
yeah.
ahead. And I'm thinking, are they insinuating that because of everything going on right now, they couldn't even have sexual relations because of the stress of everything, and they feel like they're falling apart and everything. But I
Or they
never
did, and
really
it was just awkward and bad, and
something.
it was like just
Yeah,
bad, like almost like, yeah, obviously,
like
yeah,
they didn't do
we
it.
caught them in a moment, yeah,
Yeah, and
or it just did not go well.
I never thought about it till this time. I was really focused in on her character and what she was saying and what was going on, more so than I have been in the past. And I understand maybe some people go down a little bit on it, or there's too much shopping spree stuff, but you
They
kind of
go
need that.
down on it.
That's the
Oh, I
fun
love that
stuff.
shit. That's the
I
stuff that makes the
agree.
movie. That whole scene where the guns and that
Yeah.
music.
Yep.
Hey, Hannah,
Oh, that too.
Hannah, 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 hey. And it's like
Yeah.
it's edited like, I don't think people give George Romero more enough credit for editing. I thought it was his wife. I think that's where Dave Parker, we're talking about that on the top 200 show. I thought his wife had something to do with the editing. She's at the console as we talked about it, but he edits it, and I thought it was her. So I'm wrong because I was going to give her all credit, but it is George Romero, as we said on that show, and he does some great sequences where
Yeah.
action movies took a little bit from him with those getting ready sequences and whatever. That became a staple in 80s action films, which I love that shit. Like the prep scenes.
Yeah,
I've
man.
always loved that
Yeah.
stuff. And that's this movie has it right there. And that sequence is good when they go to the bank and they walk through the turns
I love that.
hotels,
Yep.
and or the manja when he grabs a big thing of bread and
Yes.
just
Yep.
laughs. Like, these are great little human moments that they
Yeah.
capture. It makes us, the fact that they go hunting and they kill everybody there. They have this plan to secure the whole thing, and they said this place is going to be rotten. They got to get them into the freezers or whatever it may be.
Yeah, man.
It's great. I mean, the everything about the gore, of course, was a draw when I was younger, no question. But
Oh, yeah.
I was as a young kid, I loved this movie. So it just resonated with me so much so that no question. When I told you, flash forward at the time, when I was 23, my buddy and I went to New York City to see the Statue of Liberty, and amongst other things.
Huh,
And we said on the way back, we took a different route home, and we went to see the Monroeville Mall because we
awesome.
were diehard fans of Dawn of the Dead. So, yeah,
Wow. And how about here? Malls are like a new thing, you know?
yeah.
And now here we
I
are
know
all
those
these
mall
years
things.
later,
Yeah, I
and they're
know.
becoming extinct. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know? I said that before. That's the one major thing that we saw that lasted a very long time that we're going to see like its birth and eventually its death. That lasted a long time. I mean, you could say VHS or DVD, but I mean, their shelf life is only whatever, 10, 12. You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
malls. Malls have been, they were like part of American culture in the freaking throughout the 80s and the 90s. I mean, everybody
It's
went to
still,
the
it's
malls.
still, it's
Kids.
still there. I mean, online is huge now, but it's still there. I mean, it's not.
It's there, but the ones out here, there's like maybe one that's gonna last. We've already seen one shut down. Another one's gonna go down in the next couple of years for sure. They just keep dropping out here. We have the one big Galleria one, and the other ones, they're just getting, you know, they're shrinking more and
Yeah.
more and more. It's sad.
Well, yeah, this is yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I went out of my way to go to see Monroeville Mall. And supposedly that skating rink was attached. I thought it was separate. Now,
And that's cool.
again, I'm talking about, I'm not talking about anything from the movie. I'm talking about when I went to the Monroeville, oh my God, Monroeville Mall. See, I'm talking too quickly. They said that the skating rink was no longer there that they showed in the movie. So, but it was part of
Oh,
it at one point. So
dude,
that's where I'm
I
going by. But
I love seeing the mall. I love seeing the stores in the mall because we had a lot of those stores because I'm in New York and that's PA. So it's
I like the music.
oh, dude, amazing, dude. That's the thing. Goblin, what they did here in this movie, and I'll say two things about this 4K. The 4K, the dialogue and the way it sounds is the best dialogue I have on any 4K. I can hear every single word clear as I'm sure you noticed this too with not just with modern movies, but even older movies that are brought, excuse me, to 4K and to Blu-ray,
The new
that the
mix.
music is always so loud that it overpowers the vocals. And that's how I started with subtitles. A lot of times vocals aren't dialogue is not loud enough. That's why you also have that thing on your sound bars a lot, voice up, voice down.
Well,
It's a major problem with physical media and modern movies. This one, the way it was mixed, whatever it is, for the 4K here, every sentence is as clear as a bell. It almost sounds like it's dubbed in after, but in the best possible way. That's how great it sounds.
interesting that you say that. I agree with most of what you said there, but there is one or 2 points that I was like, wow, the sound mix is not, I've seen the movie so many fucking times, not what I remember it. And the reason for this is I don't have a sound bar. And if some people don't have a sound bar and you're reliant on the TV speakers, which suck in your TV, which are most TVs, you're going to notice this. Now, if you have a sound bar, it probably separates it perfect. When the head gets blown off, you cut to that woman that screams. You can't even hear her scream in the version that I've got because of the way that it's shot. You see her going, and it's the sound effects take over.
Weird.
Something was weird in that mix there, and there's one other time frame that the mix was a little off based on, again, seeing the movie so many times and knowing how it should sound. That's what I noticed, but everything else you said was good or it was great.
Dude.
Now, that's when I noticed, I go, I need to get a fucking proper sound bar for separation in here because it's driving me. That pissed me off, actually.
No,
like,
understood.
why is this not coming out like the way
Right.
I always remembered it? And our screen was non-existent because of that.
Well, that's the best thing about 4K, and especially this one, is the sound, the way the dialogue was in Goblin's soundtrack. It is the most. See, it's hard for me to say it's the best one because Suspiria and the other stuff, man, but beginning to end, all the songs and maybe half of it's nostalgia, but it all fits right in, and it's so many different type of music in it. That's the thing about Goblin. They do
Goblin is Goblin, but then there's also just the track, like the shit that was like that track stuff. That was
that's
just
all them too.
no, I don't. No, it's not. It's like literally.
It's on the soundtrack.
Really? I'm pretty sure that all that
Yeah.
stuff is that I told you, and that I'll go grab it, but it's that stuff that was stock sounds for the movie. All that shit was all on that disc. All that extra. Uh, I don't know why I'm hooked on phonics here. I'm not thinking of the word, but it's like literally a compilation disc of sounds that are not from Goblin.
Yeah, maybe there's 17 tracks, 52 minutes of this one. But for some reason, I thought that those songs were on there too, and that they what do you call it? Wow, that's so odd. Like here's the supermarket song, right?
It's not going to play. Remember, we have to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
Darn it. That's unfortunate.
It will play. You just have to change your noise settings or
Right.
whatever. It's
So maybe I'm wrong about that, some of that stuff, but there are still so many different various types of music that Goblin does, and I've heard it in other soundtracks. They do it in some other ones where it's regular horror movie score stuff, and then it's like jazzy stuff and different, different type of music. That's what's cool. They're also
so
a real band in the way that it isn't just, you know what I mean? It isn't just soundtrack score stuff. It's also like something you could dance to or just different, different music.
it's very it's very unique. And so again, I'm sure some of it's Goblin. I told you I've got it on my computer downstairs. Even the Goblin soundtrack is 17 tracks with bonus tracks, but then the other things are the DeWolf library cues, and
Okay.
there's part 1 and part 2. Those are the other 2 discs, and those are the ones that I thought most of that mall shit was from. Now I could be wrong,
You're
but
probably right.
that's where those came from. And I think Goblins was that I'm not going to do any
Yeah.
justice to it right now, but
Yeah.
that stuff when they're going on getting the cars, putting the trucks in front and all that, like
Do-do-dum-dum, that one. Do-do-dum-dum. All those
yeah,
freaking songs in
all
there are
that stuff,
so
that stuff.
memorable.
And again, nostalgia definitely plays a part in it, no differently
Yeah.
than any movie that we grew up with. But yeah, there's so many great things here. There's a fantastic shot when they've when they've cleaned up the mall of all the zombies, and it pans, it tracks. They're walking on the second floor against the balcony, kind of, I guess, observing over of the work that they've done, and Romero pans across with it through the trees, the fake trees in the mall, and it's really cool there. And then you come and you see them, and they just lean over the balcony to look down. It's the music there, and it's beautiful. I can't. It's one of my favorite shots in the movie. And if I can bootleg it and put it over the video portion, I will of this podcast. But I don't know if I'll be able to do it. But I just love that shot. I love that sequence so much. It's like I said, it's my standout, one of my standouts in the film. I actually rewound it to rewatch it, just that part again. I love it.
That's great, man. Wow.
And
I'll have to look for it now.
one argument, you could use this argument in every zombie movie ever made. It's the consistency between time bitten and time turned into a zombie. And I was thinking this because I think a lot of people have argued this, and it's every zombie movie has this, where someone will get bit and maybe last a long time before they turn and the big reveal. And then someone else gets bit in the climax and they're a zombie in the next scene. And I think there's a combination of movie timing that we're now at the climax, which is why Flyboy turns into a zombie so quickly comparatively to Roger. However, we could also argue that Roger gets bit on the arm and maybe into the leg there, and it's taken, and he says, I'm trying to fight it. He's really trying to fight it. So maybe he is trying to fight whatever's going to turn him into it, but then he dies and then turns into a zombie. And that's what I think. So he succumbs to the wounds and turns into a zombie, and we get the iconic sequence of him rising and getting shot. But Flyboy, I will say, gets multiple wounds. So he gets bit on the neck, at the head. So it's closer, just like rabies. The closer to the head you get bit, probably the more serious and the faster the the disease is going to take you over. So that's how I'll argue it and be okay with it. Because Flyboy gets bit and then he's a zombie. What I think they do a passage of time. We haven't heard gunshots for a bit, but we're talking about hours as opposed to a day or 2 days or whatever it is that
Right.
Roger is alive. But I'm okay with it. I'm just bringing it up because we're talking about the movie, and I'm going to try to, if anybody comes back to us for that argument, I wanted to knock it out and say, well, this would be my reasoning to explain why Flyboy turned so quickly versus Roger.
It's every zombie movie. That's
Yeah, it is.
I'm so used to it
Every
now.
zombie movie
Affected,
does
anything
that.
like that.
Yeah.
But I guess it could be explained that, everybody reacts to something differently. Just like if you
Exactly.
get COVID or you take a pill, everybody gets something. Everybody's body reacts differently to different things.
And there's
So-
just that argument alone that works as well.
Yeah. So I never really thought about it too much, but I hear what you're saying.
There's a
I do
great
hear what you're
shot where
saying.
Roger shoots the cut up, and there's another shot that I'm like, wow, did Sam Raimi create Ash's character in Evil Dead 2 based on Perfect
What he
Baby?
was saying?
Perfect. Or yeah.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
dude. Holy shit.
Ash.
It might
is
even be in my
Ash
notes.
completely.
Hold on. It
Perfect
might even
Baby.
be in my
Perfect.
notes. Yep. Okay,
How
no,
you
but I
doing?
did write
Perfect
perfect,
Baby.
baby, perfect.
Yeah.
But I thought the same thing. I thought of Ash. I go, that's like Groovy Baby. Even the look
Yep.
on his face.
Yep.
Yes.
It was
Amazing.
awesome. It was like, it's funny because I'm sure I've seen this movie so many times, but it was this watch and I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit, that's Ash.
100%. That sequence is great, but yeah, I can't believe you said that. The exact same thing. I do love when he says though. He goes, "We got this, baby. We got this by the ass."
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
that expression.
I've also thought, and again, my thing, I love all the acting, but I've always thought when Roger goes a little batsy, that it was a little overacting. I've always thought this in the past. I've always like, oh. And again, this watch, I'm like, no, he's actually like, he's actually doing a great job of just being on that edge. And there's that one portion going like, okay, come on, man, you got to get straight. Like Roger saying, you got to get straight.
Right.
He's crazy. His eyes look fucking crazy. And he's like, he shakes himself out of it and he goes normal. And you can see it. It's all in one shot.
Yeah.
And that's great acting. Like,
Yeah,
so I
man.
give him total credit. I'm like, he had this look. He made himself look absolutely on the verge of insane. And then he's like, come on, snap out of it, man. Are you straight? He's like, oh. And he shakes it off. And you
Yep.
see it. I know I
It's
just
great.
repeated myself, but it's because you actually see it. So credit to him as an actor because he did that right there. That transformation happens right before you. No CG, no anything, just good old fashioned acting.
Yep. I thought the same thing. He was great. And it always made sense because he's delirious. They've been up for too long. It's the stress of everything. And that happens. That totally happens. Somebody would start losing their marbles a little bit. And then of course he gets the bites. But yeah, no, it's great. I always,
Oh,
that
I like
scene
that
is
they
great.
put him in a
Come on, come on,
wheelbarrow.
come on.
There's
Yeah.
things that happen in this movie that just seem to be ahead of its time. Like, I mean, I know that sounds weird. Oh, Christian, putting someone in a wheelbarrow is like, but it just, the thought process that Romero had here, I feel like was something that would have not happened for a lot longer. Like they caught him around and they say, why don't we use the cars in there? And then they starts driving and he's able to drive the car around the mall. I mean, this movie just looks like it would have been a fucking blast to be part of.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Driving
sure.
motorcycles through a mall, a car through a mall, just like the just sheer amount of blood splatter. I did notice for the first time ever, and I blame it. And I, even though I watched this 4K already, I didn't notice it the first time, but this time watching it, they used the old, because I think it was well documented how they did the bullet shots, that it was actually used for quite a few years. Savini used it with the fishing wire to blow out the front as they also did the back. So that you see fishing wire clear as day in one of the shots from one
I
of
did
the
not.
zombies
Wow.
being pulled to do it. It was like in the latter part of the movie. I noticed it. And again, 4K, just that extra resolution, you see some of that stuff. But again, who cares? We know it's a movie. It's fun. It's just funny that it with this pristine version of it, you're going to have these things pop up as well.
That's okay. It's still better than most CGI. I don't want to see any type of gore with CGI. So
Yeah.
it's whatever. As big as that guy's head looks when he gets cut, sliced by the freaking helicopter blades. It's still better
It's
than
Frankenhead.
CGI.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
I
what,
don't
the
care.
girl said when they saw it. They
Fucking
go,
awesome.
"That's Frankenstein." I go, "You'll see why." I said,
No, if I'm not
know?
mistaken, the way that they did it, which you would never know because it was so done, and it was that they animated the helicopter blades in that sequence where it comes off, obviously, right? So when he steps up and they pull the head off, the helicopter blades are just animated in. But I thought it's always looked amazing.
Yes.
Never had an issue with it.
Wow.
Yeah, gore, like, although things have obviously went so much after that point, just got so much better. They out of the gate, this was amazing. Like, they hit so many fucking things on the nose. It's just fantastic gore, fantastic display, great acting, great story. For 2 hours, I feel like it's fast paced. I know other people could disagree, but I have no problem with it when it
But I've
slows
been
down.
there.
You need that.
I've been there though in the past. Even though I've always loved it, there have been times I said that it slowed down a little too much sometimes in some scenes, but I didn't get that this time watching it. This time for me, and that happens sometimes with this movie. When I get sucked into this movie, I really get sucked into it. So it's one of those movies that sometimes I have to be in that state of mind, and it happened this time, which is funny because this is an example of me not picking it up, watching it for fun. This is me picking up and watching it because I had to for the show, which sometimes that doesn't make for the best experience because you're so much more, if you're in the mood for something,
exactly.
That's one thing. So, but I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And I was just into it like I haven't been in a long time. Maybe it's the excitement of getting the 4Ks.
God. The icing on the cake with this line as well.
Yeah.
Right. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. How it's in the movie too. And how Peter brings it up, and talks about his granddaddy and everything else. That it's
awesome.
Put perfectly in there. Yeah.
And I thought about something.
What
zombies.
Was it?
He says the word zombies in this movie. And you know why it makes sense to me? Because his father, like he said, her grandfather was involved in voodoo, and that's where the zombies originally came from. So the fact that he has coined that term in this movie makes sense because of that. And I go, oh, that's cool.
You know what's fucking funny? I don't normally, if voodoo is the sort of plot of the movie, I'm like, like Child's Play or something. I'm like, oh God, fuck that voodoo. My 2 favorite horror films and 2 favorite movies, like in that top 5-10 list, The Thing and Dawn of the Dead, and both talk about voodoo, even if it's you believe this voodoo bullshit, or he talks about his granddaddy being in voodoo. Isn't that hilarious? Like,
yeah,
who would have thought that? I mean, I know it's not, but it's just the fact that it's actually mentioned, it just even in passing in The Thing or whatever, this voodoo bullshit. And
right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is.
To me, anyway.
Voodoo. I wonder if they talk about voodoo. Yeah. There's more. Child's Play. You're right. Serpent in the Rainbow. Tons of stuff. We should have a voodoo show. Top 10 voodoo movies.
Yeah. Fuck that. Didn't we watch a movie called Voodoo? And that was the reason, because there was a Body Count song called Voodoo. And I was always like, man, that song's fucking horrible. Like, it's the lyrics in that song are just fucking horrible.
That song that goes voodoo, voodoo.
No, it's Body Count. Ice-T, Body Count.
Voodoo. Oh, the Body Count band.
Oh my God, it's fucking brutal.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Ice-T. So does that scene always remind you of the end of Night? When we go see the rednecks at the beginning and they're doing their thing, it always immediately takes you back to the way Night of the Living Dead ended, with the freaking guys drinking beer and shooting rifles and their redneck types. I always picture that's supposed to be like the same scene.
For what? When they see all the
in Dawn, remember when they go to the guy says, "Oh, those rednecks are probably having a great time."
Oh yeah,
when they're flying over the with the chopper. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying. Is
mean,
every time I see that, I think of the end of Night with all those
yeah.
guys sitting there doing their thing. Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think maybe the time frame is it might just be like a few
Right.
weeks later or something like that, or
Right.
whatever. We're still caught up in this. This is why there's still TV. Like obviously we can't be that far into it. Like there's still shit happening day to day. They're going after a drug lord and
Yep.
whatever. Like that, as we've already discussed. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's all supposed to be sort of connected as and being the same time frame.
Yeah. No,
But yeah, no
it's
pun
cool.
intended, full head explosion, as you well know, for me.
Well, yeah, of course. Full head explosion. 10 out of 10.
Yep.
You know? Simple as that. And one more thing. Why does that guy decide to sit down and do the blood pressure thing in the middle of all those zombies?
Well,
there? The first
I've
time it
always said
makes
that.
sense.
They make a
Yeah, the
joke.
guy-
He makes a joke. He goes, "What are you doing there?" So that's
That's right.
that's what allows it is the fact that he's been like they've alluded to like, "What are you doing?" Like checking your blood pressure when people are shooting at us here. Not
But there
even
was
just
so many more.
yeah.
But
I
when he
know.
actually did do it, there was so many more around. I'm like, why would he do that?
I think the first time was a setup to show that he was stupid enough to do it.
I guess
to
so.
tell the guy get the fuck off of it because Romero wanted that gag of the blood machine not registering any blood pressure because his arm had been totally chewed off, which is hilarious or whatever. So I think that was literally the setup and the punchline for that. And that, but it's stupid.
Man.
But the guy he wanted to do the fucking thing. He wanted to pay his 50 cents. I'm like, why are you paying 50 cents to get your blood pressure done when you can buy 15 cents and get some snacks on that other machine?
And I love that guy. They must be destroyed on sight. That guy's great. Dummies. Dummies.
Why does he look like he's having like he's having like a migraine while he's like saying it or something like that? He's like it just
we can't
anyway.
have that. Yeah, oh, it's great. So yeah, Dawn.
Well, old and new. So guess what we're doing next?
Yeah. Nice. There you go. There you go.
We're doing another one, and it's funny enough, it's called Dawn of the Dead, and it came out in 2004, directed by Zack Snyder. And again, writing credit is George Romero and of course James Gunn, who has gone on to do Marvel movies now. But a nurse, a policewoman, and a young married couple, a salesman, and other survivors of a worldwide plague that is producing aggressive flesh-eating zombies take refuge in a mega Midwestern shopping mall. And you know what? This movie's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's gory. One of the major faults of it is there's way too many characters, and the mall is a place of refuge. And that's it. They get no commentary out of it whatsoever. And again, I guess it's hard to say, what were you expecting? In this case, it is a remake. We already know the original one had this consumerism commentary amongst other things, and this one's played more straight horror. But I'm all for it, and that's fine. And you're right, but the mall is a simple place for refuge. And the opening of this, I still think is very unsettling as well, in a different way. Like boom, 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 boom. Like you feel the tension, especially when she's driving away and you see everything happening behind her.
Amazing. Amazing. One of the best intros to a movie in a while. When it came out, I remember seeing it, and I always loved the way this movie began and the way it ended. The first 15 minutes and the last freaking like 5 minutes. Love that stuff. And no, when the shit's hitting the fan and the way it's shot, like first, it's such a good setup with just a couple. She gets out of work late, everything comes, and I realized this time that I love Sarah Polley, and
she's great.
I never have before until this one. I like her a lot. I like her character a lot in this movie. And I think that's what made me actually have a better experience this time than I had in the past. So I've actually kind of come back. First of all, I've had revelations of this show. Dawn of the Dead 78, for the first time in a very long time, has gone back to its place with me that it used to be. And I had Day on top for a while. Now Dawn is back on top.
Yeah.
It's taking me back
Oh,
to that.
because
that
I'm
level.
glad to hear that because I mean
Yeah.
they're all awesome. But I remember you and I believe it was JP to just name two had always said, oh, the day was the one on top. And
Yeah.
again, I was always like, Dawn to me is just like I think one of the reviewers I used to called it the Gone of the Wind of zombie or horror movies or something, or zombie movies for sure, but horror movies. And I love that sort of thing. It was so epic in scale.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take anything from away from Day, but it was so epic. So I'm glad that you think that as well. They're all awesome,
Yeah.
like as we said.
Yes, for sure. No, I got it all back to the way it used to be. So now it's back on top. But now this one, and I've said the first time I saw it, I really liked it. And then every subsequent view since, it dropped a little, dropped a little, dropped a little. Well, this time I enjoyed it for the first time in a long time, more so than I have in the past. So it just kind of happened. And I don't know. I guess I was okay with everything in the middle. I guess the first time you watch it, you can't help but do the comparisons. And see, this is what I
I'm not
said.
against it. It's just it's a different film. There's some things that felt like this didn't have a budget. Like when some of the explosions happened or whatever, I'm like, whoa, they filmed that really weird. I'm like, what happened here? I thought this movie had a big budget, but maybe
No?
it didn't really.
Well, I thought it was shot well. I thought it looked pretty good, and all that stuff at the end. I thought it was good with the explosions, with all the
I'm
zombies out there. You didn't like
I'm
the
a
way it looked,
little
huh?
no, the beginning a little green hueish, but that was normal for this time. Saw movies and everything else that were coming out like this time seemed like that green hue seemed to be put in. But and the opening with her running and it being stark daylight was great. And then when it cuts back to her waking up from her coma, my problem was that bleached look got to me after a while. I thought it was a little. I just wanted to look like a regular movie. It just was a little off-putting. Something
It's the
about it was a little
time.
off-putting. But you're right. It was a sign of the times
Yep.
of that. I could say that about the Saw movies too. As much as I like those films, sometimes the look of them, I'm like, fuck, just look like a regular movie.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, here's a
Bleached
question
out, but
that's funny. I've always wanted to ask it. She goes in with her husband, the whole thing, the little girl from next door comes in, it's all great. The overhead shot of her in the bathroom and falling in the thing.
yeah.
There's a lot of really good shots in this movie. It's really directed well, man. And that's something else I noticed this time. I think of all the recent zombie movies I've seen, and I guess aside from Train to Busan, if I think about an actual zombie movie, this is one of the better ones, this style with freaking running zombies and whatnot
Yeah.
and stuff going. I enjoyed it more
Remember
than
said
any
that was
zombie movie I've watched recently.
like people were pissed. It was like taboo. Oh, our zombies don't run, they walk. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
they up the ante. It's a remake. And again, they give you the same old thing or not. Like, I thought that was great. Like, this is a standalone movie because it wasn't like a sequel to 1990s Night of the Living Dead. This was its own film. So it's kind of like, even though it's a remake of a part two, this is a standalone.
It is a standalone, and it broke out here. It wasn't an existing thing like it was in the other Dawn, the original.
Exactly.
It had their own breakout. They show when it happened. It was that day. So it's kind of like they do with Wreck, you know? But it's like, here's what I was going to get at. When she goes in and does all this stuff and then comes back out, and they have a really cool shot of her from behind surveying everything, and you look and you see mayhem busting. Here's a question, and it's a movie-ism, and they always use it, and I it makes me laugh because if you think about it, if you really think about it, it's kind of overplayed. And how come anytime you see drama like unfold, like an end of the world type thing, automatically you always see houses with fires coming out the window? Like, think about this, Christian. Like, seriously, let's say zombies on your block start running into houses. How many scenarios can you think of in the matter of a few minutes where there's going to be a fire in the house as a result of zombies being in it?
I think they're taking apocalypse to the like literally and having like fiery hell break loose. But you're right. It's like
they always do this
inferno.
in movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Fires. Even the end of The Invitation.
It was like multiple houses had fires coming out of them.
There's fireballs. Maybe if you're cooking something and a zombie comes in, you're on the stove, you slip, your clothes catch fire, but you're not going to be shooting fireballs at anybody. And I don't think the zombies are in there starting fires. They don't have gas or matches or it's just if you actually think about it, what's with all the fires? It's just I don't know.
It's I did
makes me
argue that
laugh.
there are too many characters. I almost feel like I wish they didn't have like maybe just establish them with more people going into the mall instead of having those other people just arrive or have those other people in the mall already. I know they have the security guards. It was like slapdash writing there. In my opinion, it just felt like, why did they do it this way? And then they try to get in. I guess they wanted more tension, but it just seemed unnecessary. And then there seemed like there's too many. That one woman they wheel in on the cart, it was like she looked dead already. Like I'm like, I would have
Right.
never let her in. So the reveal there was not too surprising. The zombie baby still kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, I love it. That's how it
Uh,
would be. It's a million times better than a freaking the zombie baby in Dead Alive. That's ridiculous.
well, we're not even gonna
I'm
get
just
there.
saying.
But
This is how you do it.
yeah.
It was a scary looking thing. You see that baby's eyes, it opened his mouth. Ah,
Yeah.
that's
I just
bad.
didn't
You don't like that?
yeah.
Wow.
I've always thought the movie jumped the shark there a little bit.
Really?
Yeah,
See, I guess
a
because
bit.
it's played so seriously, I don't get that feel. I was like, okay, that's kind of badass. I don't
But
know. I like all the
and
characters,
that
though. I
whole
think they're all
thing,
necessary.
well, I do like the redemption they give MJ or MG or whatever, like the guy that's a
CJ, yeah,
dick. CJ,
yeah,
yeah,
the
MJ.
security guard.
Yeah, like he's a dick, but then then when shit hits the fan, he actually steps up and and helps. Whereas like the Modern Family dude, he just is sort of like a prick throughout the whole thing.
Right, right.
I do like
Definitely.
the Are You Down with the Sickness? Richard, is it Richard Cheese cover? The one that does the lounge singing versions of all the hard songs.
Oh yeah.
And that song kicks in and they do the montage sequence of everybody there. I just feel like for a more modern movie, this one, it just feels flat in the middle where you're just like, okay, let's get going. I mean, they've set up some things like the dude Eddie or whoever his name is at the gun shop, and they're there and they're having a relationship with that. I thought that was good. I like Ving Rhames in this as well. Like
Yeah.
uh that's what I'm saying. There's some core characters that are great that some of the extras were not really needed.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess maybe the one
I,
girl isn't necessarily needed. Um,
the
the
yokel
girl,
guy, the dead mom or the big mom, the other girl could have been there with them already, and that the security guard could have still had a crush on her. I guess although the other girl that the dude sleeps with, I think they're already
right?
together.
I guess you don't need
Yeah.
her.
Well, no, but you only for that reveal of her getting chainsawed down when that was
Oh
great.
yeah. Well, I like the thing with the father and the daughter. You kind of have to have that. Although I
And
always thought it was kind of convenient that as soon as we find out that Bites changed somebody,
yeah,
that he's gonna, and then all of a sudden the father turns. Like, oh,
yeah.
the father got bit. Oh, 2 minutes later he turned. You know what I mean?
Well, and then the
Something
dog,
like
like
that.
there's a couple of forced scenes with the dog just to get the relationship with her and the dog and whatever Chops or whatever the fuck his name was.
That fucking
Uh
ridiculous girl, Chips. She's gonna go
Chips,
risk her life to
Chops,
go across
Chops,
that.
Chips, Chops.
Chops. Well, I agree with what the guy said in the movie. His line was actually, oh, what the hell was it? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that idiot's going after the fucking dog.
yeah,
That's what I thought. You're gonna risk
yeah,
life and limb. You know the dog is safe too. We've
yeah.
already been shown that they don't eat the dog. So why
Why did
go
it,
there?
and why did Eddie run it? The guy's in a fucking gun shop. Why the hell did he end up not like? You figure if anybody would have survived this, it would have been Eddie, even if he was hungry. He had ammunition up the ass, and he gets chopped up
To
and
eat the
whatever.
bullets?
Yeah, if I do remember correctly, well, no, they bring him food, but then that's where he gets fucking attacked. If I do remember
Oh, I
correctly,
thought you meant
there's a
prior to
whole
that.
special feature on the DVD of video footage. They have like video documentary of him as special features on the DVD.
Really?
Yep. It's like as if you kind of like what Zack Snyder did with Watchmen. Like there's like 3 cuts of Watchmen, one of them being the ultimate cut, which is a little too long because it puts in these animated sequences and some other things that were in there. So there's like I think the director's cut and then the ultimate cut, whatever, and then the theatrical. this, they were never edited back into the movie, but it's almost like you could see that if Snyder had his way, he put these video segments back into the movie. And it's like in between the scenes of him talking to Vim Rames across the building as they're doing the telescope and writing on the boards and whatever, that he goes in and he films himself talking about, I'm getting hungry now. It's been like day whatever. I'm getting really hungry. I really need food. And if you, so it's kind of a nice companion. I haven't watched it in years, but I just recall that.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know this existed. What's
Yeah.
that guy's name again?
Is it
Andy.
Eddie? Andy.
Yeah, Rooftop Andy.
I'm just up. Chops, chips, Eddie, Andy.
Chops, freaking chopsticks. Shit,
maybe I was thinking of Chomps. Remember that 80s movie, Chomps? I think it's like with the.
How about that 80s show, Chips? Were you thinking of that?
Or that one. Yeah.
Chips. The dog's name is Chips.
It is Chips. I was thinking Chops. Yeah.
Right.
Better name,
man.
Better name.
Yeah, Chops. It's like a freaking steakhouse.
But so I can't. The gore is great. They do fan service. This was the first remake, I think, to really do the fan service. Like they put a cameo from everybody, and even had Ken Foree say, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth." He says it there. They give him that line. Tom Savini's in it. Rogers in it. Is Fran in it?
No, no. You know, she's not in it, but the store is in it. Galen Ross is one of the stores in the mall. And I noticed it right away when they first get to the place from the outside of it. I saw it on the right. I go, look at that, Galen Ross, because I did watch one right after the other, and then it showed another couple of times in the film. So her name, the actress, is portrayed in there, but that's all they got with that. I didn't see any other. You know, the Heather Langenkamp worked on this one too, because you could. I
saw that as a crew. Is it the same one?
Yes, and I saw it initially at the theater. The very first time I saw it. And because this is the movie where you got to pay attention to the opening credits, which, by the way, are awesome with the Johnny Cash song. I love that, the way it's done. So great opening credits and great ending credits on top of it. And you have to keep watching because you're getting the found footage cuts of them arriving at the island at the end. So you have to watch the credits. And then I remember seeing it even at the theater. Heather Langenkamp Anderson. She was only... she was given that credit 4 times with the Anderson name, and all 4 were for 4 different movies, and they were practical effects or something.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
I saw that, and I'm like, is it her? Like, what the hell? Okay.
Yeah, if you look her up on the thing, and you go through her credits, it's right here, Heather Langenkamp. So it's like filmography. She has 111 titles, actress of a 48. And then she has a couple self, you know how that goes. Producer, director.
Yeah.
She directed a couple things and then something else, but then archive footage, makeup department, Dawn of the Dead, Cinderella Man, Evan Almighty, and The Cabin in the Woods. She was listed as, prosthetics production crew or special makeup effects. Isn't that weird? Just for those 4 movies.
And I noticed her name in there too. I just I can't be the same one, but it is. I didn't even look it up, but there you go. Awesome.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I was like, wait a minute. You know, Savini's funny too when he's there. And then one guy's, oh, what are you doing? He goes, we got a Twitcher.
Yeah.
A Twitcher. You know?
Well, then they use that because he's like, oh, look, it's a Twitcher. But I do like, they give you the sort of a play on the exploding head. And there's gore here. I mean, this started, it was Texas Chainsaw was the year before or this year. What? Yeah. The gore was coming back.
These were the first 2 though.
Yeah. And it was coming back. I mean, we had Final Destination and American Psycho that was gory, but not to this degree. And then of course with Saw, and this was the year 2003, 2004 was a turnaround time frame of when gore was really coming back into these movies. Again, and that chainsaw when they saw the guy's legs off through the thing is great. I mean, there's a lot of gore. There's a lot of gore, and there's a lot of great sequences in the movie, or a lot of good sequences in the movie. I don't want to take anything away from it. I don't hate the film. It's a standalone. Again, you've got the original. I never thought that this was a insult to the original because I have the original. I've never understood that argument.
It's like
unless
anything.
it's an utter piece of shit, and they were just literally using it like Day of the Dead Bloodlines
Never
or
saw
whatever
him.
it is.
Yeah.
Those ones to me were like more of an insult because they're just like I just don't like these. But I know there was the zombie design was cool here. I mean, there was enough gore. I just feel like, yeah, it's just not the pacing's just not quite what I want it to be. I don't know why. It's a little off.
A little in the
And again,
middle. It's a little longer. It's an hour and 50 minutes, and it doesn't have to be.
yeah.
You're right.
And
They could have trimmed the fat in this movie for sure, and it would have been a better movie. I agree
some characters
wholeheartedly.
and and just some scenes. Like I think some stuff just went on a little too long.
I agree.
Uh but maybe just another rewrite. But what we got is fun. It's a fun movie. It's worth checking out. The only reason you'd be offended by this is if you're, a diehard Romero fan and you're just like, oh, this is an insult. But fuck, it's been, as we know, nothing's sacred. The remaking or rebooting, whatever, and whenever they can. I mean, this could be done again. You could do this now again.
Yeah, sure. 100%. And I like the stuff at the end with the CJ. What happens with him? He's like
Yeah.
fucking figures. That's great.
Yeah.
And then and Michael and what happens to him at the end with the reveal and everything else. That's good stuff because you actually
He's got
do
a
care
smirk
about
on his
them.
face. You do care
Yeah.
about him, but he's like, I've been bit, and he just gets off, and he looks like he's got a smirk on his face. I'm like, why did they use that take? I don't know what it is. Every time I've watched it, he's like, yeah, I've been bit, and he's like, and he
I didn't
walks
notice
off.
that.
I'm like, why? What does that look? It's the way he portrays the character, but it just was an odd choice. They needed a little bit more. They have one scene with them, and I feel like you could have trimmed some other scenes down and established their relationship a bit better. It's like modern movies, I guess, I'm arguing one way, yet I feel like the substance is what is missing, and we're getting other additional scenes that really don't mean anything.
You're right. No, I did like the stuff with Mekhi Phifer and his girl and the pregnancy and all that, and some of the conversations. And I like everything that goes on with Ving Rhames' character. And I really like Sarah Polley. Then we have the other woman, the older woman. I like her too, and the other guy. The thing is, I like the characters. There are maybe too many, but for some reason, I guess I like the time we get with them. It seems like because you're going to have that middle scene, I'm kind of glad that we bounce around and it isn't just two people talking or three, that we get that. And I guess I think sometimes we just get enough.
Well, you're right. You're right. And it's my hiccup. I'm the one that, I mean, the movie's the movie. I'm just telling you what I feel when I watch it. But that whole Mekhi Phifer thing of when he hides her, I always thought that guy was Omar Phelps, but no, it's not. It's they're two different character guys. Yeah. And so he is hiding his girlfriend there. No one realizes she's dead.
She's not dead. She's a zombie. He doesn't want them to know.
Yeah.
But he's able to get away with it because she's pregnant. So that's why she's hidden. And then he but he knows as soon as he hears the noise, the word, pardon me, about Bites doing what they do when they're talking about the father in the other room. And he's like, oh, that means she's going to turn too. So that's when he decides he's going to keep her there. And he doesn't want them to know because surely they're going to kill her. And he wants his baby to be born. He's talking about earlier with Ving Rhames' character saying, I made mistakes in my life. I want this. I want to be a good dad. I want to do something right by here. So you see there's character stuff there. That's why I like it and the heartbreak of it. And that's why he lost his wife. And then he sees that the freaking baby's a zombie too, and he loses it. And then he shoots the girl that comes in because he's flipping out. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
It was just enough. It was just enough for me but I still agree. We could have trimmed it. We could have trimmed the fat, but
I mean, it's represented. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I'm just thinking of other zombie movies that I've seen recently, and I don't know. This is kind of up there with them. When there hasn't really been a lot of good zombie movies. We get them, and we get a good one like some of the ones that we've had in the second half of the 2015, 2010s, I should say. We did get some good ones there. But if you want a movie that's like fun in this way, this is one of the few that does it. This one in what do you call it? Busan. But the other ones were kind of like different. We enjoyed them for it because it took a different turn. Like they're quieter. Like, you know, the Stains of Sands Red, or those two Ravenous or whatever that one. Those two that came out the
Well,
one year, and Night Eats the
Shaun
World.
of the Dead came out the same year,
Well,
right? That was
Shaun is different.
fantastic. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, we already know about Shaun, but I'm true. But that's another one. Horror comedy, perfect with active zombies. But like, I never saw World War Z, and then
See,
there's
I
other
did.
ones.
I've seen the PG version and the other version, and you know what? As much as everybody complains that it's so much different from the book, I always thought that those were kind of fun, but they're more cartoonish. You feel like you're watching a video game or something with those ones. Like it's just
Yeah,
hordes, kind of like Train to Busan, just hordes of zombies like climbing up on one another and whatever. But there's something kind of terrifying about that as well. Like
sure it is.
the whole horde of them coming at you. But yeah,
But
I
that's
mean,
it.
this is why I was like, I'm not against having, like, I love zombie movies, so having all these different versions of them are fine by me.
It's great.
Uh,
Yes.
so like
But
this
there's
is
only a few like this, man. There's only a
yeah,
few. Think about this. Think about Romero's movies, and then think about a World War Z. There's not a whole lot in between. There's the other ones that are very serious, like the ones we were talking about, but there aren't a lot of movies that are decent like this, with, like, I don't want to say hordes of zombies, but more of a classic zombie type movie where there's a bunch outside. You
well,
don't,
28
if you
days
see it,
later
it's,
and 28 weeks later, I know it's infected, but
but still, that
again,
started
it's the
it.
same idea. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
That
you
started
know,
this whole thing 28 days later.
yeah,
Seriously, infected or not, that's what it was. And
yeah,
then we got zombies, then we got this, and then eventually we got Walking Dead, and then
yeah.
so that's why I like this, because it's kind of, I don't want to say a standalone, but I'm guessing that they tried to make a Day of the Dead, the one you saw, and the other one that people talked about, and they probably were this kind of movie with a bunch of zombies running around, but they're just not very good,
Yeah,
right?
there was Day of the Dead that was directed by Steve Miner, and that was a gong show. And then there's Day of the Dead Bloodlines, which had its moments, but still overall was not all that great. Like, 6 out of 10 type movie or whatever.
Wasn't there a puking
This I give
run?
like a 7.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I might even go 7.5, but I think a
Yeah,
7 is fine. I was probably, like, when I first saw this, I was probably 8, maybe even 8.5 when I first saw it. I was like, yeah, it's not like the original by any means, but holy shit, is this fun? Just over time, I'm like, yeah, it's good, but I never rushed to put this one on or anything. But I enjoyed it for watching it for the show. But I think 7 is the perfect rating for it
I'm a little
for
higher.
me.
I'm like 7.5, maybe even 8. I'm up there.
Oh, nice,
I
man.
really enjoyed it this time. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. I think a lot of it is Sarah Polly.
Well,
I never knew how
she's
much I
great.
liked her until
There's a
this.
lot of
Until this.
Canadians in this, actually.
Yeah, and she is Canadian. That's right. I never
And
realized how much I liked her until this time. It just, I took right to her.
yeah.
Just happens. So
You've seen in Go, right? She was in Go. She's been
yeah,
in a
but
ton
it's
of
been a
things.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been years since I saw
Sweet
Go. I think the last
Hereafter.
time I saw it, I recorded it on
Origin Exotica.
VHS.
I forget. But yeah, she's had a great career. Well, she's now directing. So I think she had her movie was nominated last year. So she's on to
Oh
that
yeah.
now, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Wow. Right on, man. So that's it. Dawn. Dawn and
Yeah.
Dawn. Not
Dawn and
bad.
Dead.
Yeah, Dawn and
I
Dead.
don't what the fuck I'm talking about. I haven't woken up. But what are
I'm
we
with you,
doing? Are
buddy.
so next show we are still gonna do, we gotta pick a number, right?
Oh yeah, okay. So next show we'll pick a number, and then after that we'll be maybe going into summer sausage. Right. We're getting closer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is our number? Where is my I do
Ram
this every
ram
time. Randomizer. Yeah. Randomizer. Generate. Let's see. Right now we have a question mark. What do we got?
22. Oh,
22.
you're getting hosed, man.
That's
This
okay.
is me. Okay, well, we've got this is one of the ones it's a Cronenberg, and it's the Brood and Dead Ringers, but I can't remember if we did the Brood, so we have to actually do a little research. I feel like we may have done this with Brandon way back when, but why I'm not 100%, I'm not too sure. But we definitely didn't do Dead Ringers, which is kind of interesting because while you were upstairs, I was talking about starting the show, and I've only watched the first episode, and it was very, very well done. and but the ending alludes to something that I feel like might polarize viewers or fans. So it'll be interesting to
Really?
see. Yeah, but anyway, so we'll confirm this, but it is Cronenberg, and it will be The Brood and Deadbringers.
All right.
And if
Exploding
The Brood was
Heads
done,
Brood.
yeah, then I'm not too sure. We'll
Well,
have
I'm gonna
to-
Google it. Exploding Heads Brood and see if it comes up. That's how I usually tell if we've done something. You know?
Exploding Heads Brood.
Podcast Brood. And let's see. Yeah, I don't know if we did it or not. Interesting.
Well, we'll figure it out, man, because we gotta get
Yeah.
moving and whatever. Because it was it 79? So I don't know. It wasn't a year that we did a review. So I'm just not. I don't know why I feel like we did it, but we'll work it out. We'll figure it all out,
Right
and
on.
we'll have it for next show.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll be out of here then. And yeah, right on. That's great. So okay. Ready to wrap it up?
Peace.
All right. Yeah. We love you guys. Manchichi, Manchichi. See you next show. Peace.
Say,